Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Welcome back, everybody. We continue to be on the lunar eclipse watch, but for right now, speaking of lunacy in a way, we are here to watch Lori Vallow represent herself pro se. This is the hearing from March 11th. I'll put a ticker on the screen, but it's not a long hearing, but they're arguing motions in limine here, and let's see how she does.
Robert Abernathy is out of office today.
Okay. You want to announce?
Lori Daybell. On
Thank
behalf
you.
of myself.
All right. We have a number of things to get through this morning. The first thing I want to address is there's been multiple media requests. I don't know if there's a representative of the media that can address this, but my question is if there's a single pool camera, is there some sort of agreement or cooperation between other media outlets to use a single camera?
Your Honor, if I may, Matthew Kelly, I represent Court TV, and our understanding is that, yes, there is a pool arrangement, and Court TV has asked to be the pool for the trials in this matter. I believe that that request is pending with the PIO. Regardless, the media that are interested in camera coverage do have a pool arrangement.
Okay. I know that there was, I don't know if it was Court TV or another outlet requested multiple cameras and a still camera. I'm inclined to just allow a single camera. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes, Your Honor. Court TV would prefer to have two of its own cameras. One of its own cameras is perfectly fine. Court TV's equipment is actually smaller than the camera we have here today and can be operated remotely, so it is much more unobtrusive. Court TV also has in the past used the feed from one of the cameras here for the webcasting of hearings for its purposes as well. Court TV would position its camera so that jurors are not in the field of view and would not use any of these cameras that have a view of the jurors.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else here from the media that wants to be heard? I don't hear any. State want to take a position?
Yeah.
All right, I know the defendant filed an objection. I've read your objection.
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'd just like to add some case law to that. Shepard versus Maxwell, 337 U.S. The United States Supreme Court, Mr. Justice.
Y'all, hold on. Your Honor, I just want to add some case law to that. I'm losing my mind. Let's just hear that again on normal speed. Holy shit. Okay, Lori. By the way, it looks like she's got, well, I'll pause it here in a second.
Want to add to that?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'd just like to add some case law to that.
She's got like, you guys see that, ladies in the chat? Do you guys see, it looks like she's got like an orange sports bra or something maybe that matches her orange jumpsuit. Can you guys, if you pay attention, you'll see there's like a strap. I'm like, how the fuck does she have that?
Shepard versus Maxwell, 337 U.S. The United States Supreme Court, Mr. Justice Clark, held that failure of the state judge in murder prosecution to protect defendant from inherently prejudicial publicity, which saturated the community to control disruptive influences in courtroom, deprived the defendant of a fair trial consistent with due process. So that and Arizona versus Cheney, which was the defendant is entitled to fair and impartial trial when publicity pervades court proceedings to the extent that the proceedings were prejudiced to the defendant.
Dangerous drunk,
So,
I think, too fast. Dangerous.
obviously, you read my objection, so I just wanted to add those on the record.
Okay.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Lori.
you.
Stay far away from her. Everybody.
Your prior attorneys had filed a series of objections to
This is like in love with Lori.
media
apparently.
coverage being, or media being allowed in the courtroom. And I made a prior ruling that was filed back September 4th, which was fairly comprehensive. I am inclined to allow one pool camera. I'll issue an order with more detailed findings later today or tomorrow. But essentially, there won't be any media coverage during the jury selection process, and I'll put the reasons for that in the order. So that's, again, I'll issue a more detailed order later today or tomorrow. All right.
Your Honor, there's also the issue of whether Court TV would be allowed to live stream the trial. In other words, broadcast online in real time. Court TV would prefer to do that.
Are you able to, are they able to do a 1 or 2 minute delay?
Certainly, we can certainly do that. I just want to inform you, Honor, however, that when we share the footage with the pool, we can't delay that footage. So your order would need to require that all media that receiving the feed delay it by however long you wish to delay it.
And the camera, the pool camera would be simultaneously distributing that feed to whatever media requests it?
That's correct. We have the capability to distribute to up to 30 or 40 different media outlets. So we have plenty of bandwidth to do so.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
All right, let's get down to business on some of the.
Your Honor,
Yep.
could I just add that we want to make sure that the cameras aren't going to be zooming in at any level to get to our notes and the things that are going to be on the table. I also previously, what has happened before is that they just have the camera on my face the entire trial. So I think when the judge is speaking, the judge needs to be on the camera. When the state is speaking, they need to be on camera. If we can add that to the order, I think.
All
it
right,
would
well,
be
my
good.
draft already includes that there'll be no zooming in on council table, anything on council table, or anything being handled, notes or that sort of thing being handled by any of the parties or the attorneys.
Right.
As far as
Yes,
what they,
I'm just pausing this real quick. Correct. So Flash, yes, it's the stand. Where was it here? So we're talking about some different things here. Some food, cake. Talking about cake. The lady next to her, yes, standby counsel. Correct. So in other words, that's who she can ask questions. That's who's helping her, right? In other words, that was the attorney who was court appointed for her. And now that Lori is pro se, this attorney is assisting her. Now, as far as her going pro se, I think that there's a number of reasons for that. But I think most of it, you could just remember, right? Attorneys, there's a lot they can't do, right? Ethically, the ABA model rules, right? So they can't elicit false testimony. They can't. Lori is going to have a strategy here that will probably be false and offensive and whatever other things. And we have heard whiffs of it along the way. But anyway, the only way she can do that, and remember, because she didn't put on a theory of the case in Idaho, right? They didn't present a case in chief. And I would imagine it's because she had a route she wanted to go, and counsel was like, yeah, we can't do that. And so then the solution for round 2 is I'll do it myself. The braid. Yeah, the braid was great. I think the judge called him Mr. whatever his last name was. I believe Mr. Yeah, well, she's actually smart. I would say she's actually pretty smart. Like, I think if you were like test her IQ, Also, I have to say, so far, I like this judge a lot as well. Judge Boreski.
they'll be limited to focusing on the parties, myself, the witness, depending on the witness. I need to ask the state about that in a second, but they won't be allowed to broadcast any image of any juror. While I'm on that subject, let me ask the state, are you seeking any sort of protective order when a named
Oh, I meant to
victim-
mention too, the part where she says that the camera zoomed in on her first trial. I meant to point this out. There were no cameras in her first trial. Did you guys catch that? When she says that the camera zoomed in on her during her first trial, there were no cameras. Video or stills. There was no cameras. It was audio only.
testifies?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Will you let me know if that changes?
Yes, I will.
Do you have the names of your designated victim or victim representatives that might be testifying?
Kay Woodcock
Nice.
is a statutory legal victim and will be testifying.
Is that the only one
At this time, yes.
Okay.
For this trial.
Wow.
for this trial?
That.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Let me ask this: are the parties ready to proceed around
So I
March 31st to April 1st.
just used the name that was on the bench.
All right, let me ask the state next. Earlier during these proceedings in past
You heard
hearings,
it
you
correctly. They're going to trial on March 31st.
indicated you thought the state's case in chief would take 2 weeks. You requested yesterday to screen for 6 weeks.
Your Honor, I did say 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
But I did say that while we had a defense attorney on.
Who's
and
live?
not Ms. Vallow herself. I am familiar with other pro per trials where generally the timelines are in excess of those with a defense attorney assigned. So in order to ensure that we aren't asking a jury later to stay longer than we pre-screen them, I believe it would be appropriate to screen them for 6 weeks.
So now that you're gearing up for trial and maybe you have a better idea, how long do you think your case in chief would take with a normal amount of cross? I know that's hard to estimate.
And again, I would say 2 to 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
That would be at the outset of it.
Okay.
Probably, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Let me ask advisory council if we
Advisory council. So that, yeah, advisory council. So, yeah, they just explained this. So initially they said 2 to 3 weeks, I believe. It's because pro se. When you've got a pro se defendant, trials take way longer. That's why. That's why, because you have to stop, because you have. Oh, well, you guys can probably imagine why, right? Anytime that there's something that they have to argue over, they have to explain everything to the pro se defendant, right? Among other things. So it takes way longer. I'm surprised that they're not saying even longer than that. Oh, yeah, he does. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and so just to reiterate too, this is for, now we're getting into Charles Vallow, which is another, I mean, everything is sad in this case, but this is for Charles Vallow. And so really, really, really sad. And one thing that's really sad is how Charles Vallow went to law enforcement, it's on Bodycam, and said, like, you know, here's what Lori's doing, like, da-da-da, right? And they really just dismissed him. They didn't, I mean, he came on, it's on the Bodycam, and he's like saying, like, yeah, you know, my wife is like talking about zombies and this, that. And you can understand why they were like, this dude's crazy. You can see why they would think that, because the shit he was saying is crazy. But it's literally all true. It's what she was saying. And it's just really fucking sad, because a life could have been, well, many lives could have been saved potentially, because he was the first to go. And yeah. And so they brought Lori in, they questioned her, and she just, like, you know, sweet talked them out of it, and like da-da-da, and like, you know, did her like charm or whatever you call it, you know, and batted her eyes, and, you know, my husband's the one that's crazy, and blah-da-da, and it's really fucking sad. So by definition, she's a serial killer. By definition. All you need is 3 or more people. And so far, well, there's some other suspicious deaths in her past, but even if you just go with Charles, the 2 kids, and Tammy, even if you just go with them, that's already 4. So, no, this is her husband. They never got divorced. It's just that she married Chad right after he died. They never got divorced. They were kind of like living separated, I believe, but they were not divorced officially. I don't think they were actually divorced. I don't think they were divorced. No. So this was still her husband, but it seemed like they were still trying to work things out. He really, I think it was him that really wanted things to work out and be for the kids' sake and everything. So
we do an questionnaire. Would you be assisting Ms. Daybell with your laptop in going through the answers that are received?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, assuming we do all of that, because a lot of times the courts send us back to our office to go through that. So if we do that here, then yes, of course, she's welcome to use our laptops.
Right. My plan is we can do jury selection in the South Court Tower 5C I know that the state has requested that the entire trial be held there. We can't do it. We can do jury selection there. I can give you rooms here for your victims and witnesses as need be that are outside this courtroom that we'll have. We can have them stream in if you want, depending on, I guess, who the witness is or who's back there.
And obviously, Your Honor, I don't know if the public will be attending this or not. This also is a little different in that even in the mornings, the jury is going to be potentially out here while the court is having morning calendar. If there's media out there as well, I'm just trying to protect the integrity of the trial by ensuring that the public, the media, are not interacting with witnesses at any time while they're out there. It's difficult when there's a very small hallway and very limited rooms to put them in. Obviously, I need a room for the victims that's separate from any witnesses.
Well, we have on this floor 6 rooms, 5 or 6 rooms throughout. We have 3 right behind this courtroom.
Yeah, I just double checked.
And
They
we
were
can
never
utilize them as
enforced. Yeah,
need be to ensure that there's no
right.
improper
Naturally.
contact between media or the public in general and any victims or witnesses. We can also ensure that the jurors don't have contact. If that means we bring them up in a separate elevator and have them assemble somewhere else, we can accomplish that. So my plan will be to do an e-questionnaire, remote questionnaire for the first 200 jurors. That questionnaire, I need to get a final joint pretrial statement with a list of witnesses to include the names of witnesses in that, but I'd like to send out a draft to everyone by the end of this week. Let me bring up my calendar. We'd probably send that out to the first 200 jurors around next Thursday, March 20th. Yeah.
The first day they can send it out to 24th.
Oh, I guess I can't send it out.
So we can do from the 24th to the morning 27th.
Okay, so we can send out that the 24th to the 27th, meaning it would be cut off on the 27th. The answers to those questionnaires would be emailed to the parties. That would give the parties the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st to go through those answers. We would meet on the morning of the 1st, discuss who needs to be let go based on those answers. Also on the morning of the 1st, a number of walk-in jurors that for whatever reason don't fill out the questionnaire in advance would come in to the jury room, the jury assembly room that morning and fill out the questionnaire. So that morning we'd also deal with those walk-in answers as best we can. Oh, that's right. I back up. The initial answers for the remote, we're going to meet on the 31st. Let those people go. Whoever we don't let go will be told to report on the afternoon of the 1st. On the afternoon of the 1st, we'll be dealing with the walk-ins that come in the morning of the 1st and the people that we haven't let go the afternoon of the 1st. That will be in person.
This is so
Or dear.
crazy.
As needed. If we need to, which I anticipate we probably will, we'll do another 200 jurors on the 2nd.
So this is so great. So the trial's not going to start yet until at least April 2nd. I was just thinking, this is so nuts though, because Karen Reed, like, why does everything have to happen at the same time with these trials?
And if need be, we have another 100 jurors on the 3rd.
That next set of 200, that wouldn't be a remote question?
They don't
that'd
have
be
a
regular.
capability to do it remote. So we may have to, what'll happen is on the 1st, all those people,
So they may not be going to trial until like the 4th. By the way, I love her Tumblr, iridescent Tumblr thing.
after they give their answers, will be randomized. The list will be re-randomized. As we proceed through the 2nd, those people get added onto the bottom of the list. So as soon as we get 12 jurors that qualify, that everyone's happy with, that don't have issues, plus probably 3 or 4 alternates. So as soon as we get to about 15 or 16, we're pretty much done with jury selection. So we don't have to necessarily question all 200 of those people. We can do a panels of 20 or something like that. I anticipate losing quite a large number of people just based on prior media coverage and people already having some sort of opinion about the case.
Yeah, I
I
would say
normally
so.
wouldn't include a defendant's name in the e-questionnaire that goes out remotely, but on this case, I'm inclined to, just because that's what we want to know. We want to know if
Right.
people have heard about
Yeah,
the
fair.
defendant and whether or not they've heard about, or if they formed an opinion about
Trying to
her
talk.
or this case prior to that. Does Does anyone have an issue with that state?
No, Your Honor, I think that that's a good idea. That's going to be at least one of the initial
Yeah.
reasons to strike a lot of jurors.
Oh my God.
My only issue with it, Your Honor, is that it could be bad both ways, right? If you put the name in there, if you don't put the name in there, it's been my experience that people will say they haven't heard when they know who that really is. And there's people that will want to be on this jury just for this purpose.
That's what voir dire
Well,
is for,
I-
Lori.
It's going to be complicated.
All the research indicates that these e-questionnaires, people are more likely to give honest, candid answers than if they're in a group of people and they feel sort of that peer pressure of
Very
what's a good answer and
true.
what's a
I was
bad
just
answer.
talking about
Your
that.
name's going to come up sooner or later, so I would prefer to just get it out in front of the potential jurors to begin with. My e-questionnaire is going to be fairly basic. It's going to focus on qualifications, the charges, the witnesses, and then obviously whether they have an opinion about you or this case. For the people that make it past that level, we'll question them more thoroughly in person.
And like you were saying, as far as group kind of voir dire, in my experience, we went through 1,900 jurors in my last trial. So it would be good to do individual voir dire if we can, then group voir dire, because they learn things just in the voir dire and it disqualifies a lot of jurors.
Why are you?
I'm not opposed to
Oh,
that, but that's going to be sort of a,
okay, Lori, dude, this is interesting. So this is now she's already referenced several times in my first trial, dude. She's using the fact that she's already been convicted of murder for three people, okay, already been convicted in a different state. Her first trial, she's using that as like her expertise. Like she's got expertise and knowledge and experience. Like this is crazy. See how she's using it as like, oh my God. Do you guys see what I mean? I don't even know how to put it into words. Like she knows better in a certain way because she's already done this, been there, done that. Like in my first trial, like normally you might say that if like you're an attorney and it's like you're trying to say that you've been to trial before, but like one trial would be not impressive to anybody, right? I don't know. She's like kind of trying to say she knows better because of her experience going to trial before. Like, why? This is not something you want to be bragging about or broadcasting. Like, why don't you base what you're saying on case law? Or like file a motion? Like, this is insane.
that level, we'll question them more thoroughly in person.
And like you were saying, as far as group kind of voir dire, in my experience, we went through 1,900 jurors in my last trial. So it would be good to do individual voir dire if we can, then group voir dire, because they learn things just in the voir dire and it disqualifies a lot of jurors.
I'm not opposed to that,
Yeah.
but that's going to be
That's
sort
funny.
of a day of play it by ear sort of situation, whether
Sure.
we do small panels or just go a single person. If we go single person, our jury selection could extend into the next week. But if we're able to seat a jury, I would expect opening statements on April 7th, somewhere around there. Just
April 7th. Okay.
the state indicated, I have it. There was just one day in April that you wanted to go
I
half.
like this judge so far. I mean, I like his demeanor. And we're going to get to hear more of him with Lori here as we go along. She's acting like she's Elle Woods. For sure she is. I don't know why dude, I agree with all that what you guys are saying. Lori's freaking lunatic. She's out of her mind. Yeah. I mean, this is fascinating though, isn't it? So April 7th, I will say I'm glad that it's at least staggered like a week after Karen Reed starts. So that way they're not both starting at the exact same time. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a good thing. Since we're going to try to cover both.
Day.
Correct, Your Honor. The 24th.
Oh yeah, I know. Crazy.
When can you file some sort of pretrial statement that sets forth all your potential witnesses and a statement of the facts?
Probably by Thursday.
All right.
Or-
Does the state anticipate any presentation of autopsy photos or crime scene photos? In other words, I'm trying to gauge, I would usually put in a question about jurors may be required to view evidence that shows wounds or that sort of thing. Is there anyone that's unwilling to look at this type of evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. We will have both, obviously, with self-defense trajectory and those injuries are very relevant.
Okay, so I will include a question about that type of evidence. Sometimes jurors don't want to look at that type of evidence, so. All right, any questions or concerns about our jury selection, the proposed trial dates from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Just so I have it clear, Your Honor, we're going to start on the 31st with jury selection. Is that
We'll
correct?
be meeting on the 31st,
Okay.
and then actual dealing with in-person jurors on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Okay.
That's really annoying, and here's why. Hold on.
Just so I have it clear, Your Honor, we're going to start on the 31st with jury selection.
This is not her just trying to make it clear. This dude. Boy, I'm telling you what, the people who do like the psychology and whatnot will be having a field day with this, because this is one of those things where it's like, she knows it's the 31st. That's abundantly clear. But she's like, now that it's like a chance to get the last word, it's like, just to be clear, we're starting on the 31st. It's, it's like as if to make it seem like she's the one who's clarifying what the judge said because what he said wasn't clear. And if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't be clear to everybody. It's as if what he said needed clarification and she's the one to help out. She's the one to take one for the team and make sure it's clarified on the record. Like, this is crazy.
Is that
We'll
correct?
be meeting on the 31st,
Okay.
and then actual dealing with in-person jurors on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Okay.
Let me ask advisory council, are there any dates that advisory council would need to be dark?
I am fine for April. I didn't hear back from Robert. I would think.
Please let us know, because in that e-questionnaire, I'm going to put in a proposed schedule. I don't know that I'm going to screen for a full 6 weeks based on the state's anticipated presentation, maybe 5 weeks. So into let us know the schedule into the first week or two of May.
As soon as I get an answer from him, I'll email your judicial assistant.
All right.
And one more time, Your Honor, so the remote question is going out on March 24th. All answers have to be back by the 27th, so we will get them on the 27th. Or
You'll either get them late the 27th or first thing the 28th.
Okay.
Morning of the 27th.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You should get them some point on the 27th.
just so we can plan, because it sounds like we'll just go out to Estrella and go through these.
Yeah, they're closing it at like 8 a.m. on the 27th.
You'll have to have a internet connection.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
can use
Okay.
our laptops out there.
Okay.
Because you want to be ready to discuss everything on March 31st.
Yeah, and if the parties have an obvious, there's some jurors that are going to be obvious that need to be let go.
Beach Bum is
If you're
here.
ready for that, that's always helpful. I know
Okay,
it's
number
slow.
of things. Welcome, Beach Bum. Remind me where you're joining us from. Are you in Europe? I can't recall. Or Australia. I can't remember. But welcome. Okay, a couple things. I was just going to ask some questions. Or not ask some questions. Answer some questions. Okay. Couple things. So this is very interesting, right? Like we're getting exposed to some different terminology. Who is Robert? Okay. So, all right, let me answer some of these questions. So, isn't that part of the job to look at the pictures? Yes, but however, they will always ask jurors ahead of time because they can't force jurors to look at graphic images if the juror has not consented, right? Like the jurors have, there's a number of issues that could arise. First you got like mental health, you've got people who've been in traumatic situations, what have you, but also they need jurors who will be able to look at these crime scene pictures, right? And I don't mean look at them with squinted eyes or look at them and wince or say they can look at them and then go throw up and can't look, right? They need people that can actually look at the pictures. And the only way to get jurors who can look at these graphic crime scene photos is to ask them, because basically only people who feel confident that they can look at those pictures will answer that with a yes. You're not going to have people say yes to that question if they know they couldn't handle it. You would be more likely to have people who maybe could handle it, but say no to get out of jury duty. But that's better than the opposite, right? In other words, they need the people that can say yes to that to be the people on the jury, if that makes sense. And then did he just say dark? Yes. What that means, good question here, going dark. So what that means is that's basically just a lingo for days that you can't be here. Like, in other words, they can't have trial that day. Like if she's needed elsewhere. So going dark. In other words, we can't have court. Who is Robert? I missed Rob. I don't know about Robert. I'll back it up. Okay. And I was actually thinking to myself, it might be other co-counsel. Yeah, some other state. Right. Yeah, so that's the other, I'll just back it up a second so we can get the context there. And yeah, and then they're going where? Estrella. Oh, you're in Canada. Also, we're on lunar eclipse watch. I'm going to go check in a second here, but we should be in the partial lunar situation. Estrella. I'll do a search for Estrella. We're going to hear about Robert. Let me back this up a second. Lots going on.
All right.
And one more time, Your Honor, so the remote question is going out on March 24th. All answers have to be back by the 27th, so we will get them on the 27th.
You'll either get them late the 27th or first thing the 28th.
Okay.
Morning, late morning of the 27th.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You should get them some point on the 27th.
Just so we can plan, because it sounds like we'll just go out to Estrella and go through these.
Yeah, they're closing it at like 8 a.m. on this one.
You'll have to have a internet connection.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
can use
Okay.
our laptops out there.
Okay.
Because you want to be ready to discuss everything on March 31st.
Yeah, and if the parties have an obvious, there's some jurors that are going to be obvious that need to be let go. If you're ready for that, that's always helpful. I know it's a little bit more difficult with pro per defendant in consulting like that. All right, let me get to.
Okay, we didn't hear the part about Robert. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, Robert, I think, is another advisory council.
Let me ask advisory council. Are there any dates that advisory council would need to be dark?
I am fine for April. I didn't hear back from Robert. I would think.
Please let us know, because in that e-questionnaire, I'm going to put in a proposed schedule. I don't know that I'm going to screen for a full 6 weeks based on the state's anticipated presentation, maybe 5 weeks. So into let us know the schedule into the first week or two of May.
As soon as I get an answer from him, I'll email your judicial assistant.
All right.
I'm looking up.
And one more time, Your Honor, so the
I'm
remote.
looking up Estrella here. It looks like one of the things it could be. There's a foundation, the Arizona. It's for like let's see, trans, queer, migrant communities in Phoenix. I don't know if that's what they're talking about, but that is one Estrella situation in Arizona.
Remote question is going out on March 24th. All answers have to be back by the 27th. So
Right. But did anyone notice, by the way, like I was pointing out earlier, you can see it here, the strap, it looks like she's got some sort of orange sports bra. How the fuck she got an undergarment to match her off the shoulder look she's got going on is beyond me. Also her stupid new hairdo that she always has with it up like that with I don't even know what you call that. Like, why are we doing that? Right. Yeah. So some of you guys was doing, I pointed this out at the very beginning of the hearing because I was like, dude, how has she got like an orange sports bra to match this? Right. You guys see that strap? It's like she's got an orange sports bra to match her little outfit. Crazy.
So we will get them on the
Crazy.
27th. Or
You'll either get them late the 27th or first thing the 28th.
Okay.
Late morning of the 27th.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You should get them some point on the 27th.
just so we can plan, because it sounds like we'll just go out to Estrella and go through these.
Yeah, they're closing it at like 8 a.m. on this one.
You'll have to have a internet connection.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
can use
Okay.
our
That's
laptops
what
out
it
there.
is.
Okay.
That's
Because
what
you
it
want to be
is.
ready to discuss everything on March 31st.
That's what it
Yeah,
is.
and if the
Yep, it's the troll doll hair. That's what it is. Thank you, Rochelle. That is what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's so funny. This is just like with Wendy and Fievel, where it was like, it was bugging me of like, what is it that Wendy's like spirit cartoon hybrid animal is? And I was like, thank God Heather was like saying, because I'm like, that's what it is. With Lori's hair, it's been bugging me for months now. And thank you so much, Rochelle. It's the troll doll hair. That's what it is. And I would never have remembered it on my own. Thank you.
parties have an obvious, you know, there's some jurors that are going to be obvious that need to be let go. If you're ready for that, that's always helpful. I know it's a little bit more difficult with pro per defendant in consulting like that. All right, let me get to.
I can already see people watching this trial be like all like, you know, hot and bothered over this judge too. Because, I mean, you know how it goes with these trials, right? When you get a judge that's like even remotely not whatever, people be like, you know, people be putting the eggplant command in the chat, as it were.
We don't get any questions on that.
All right, the defendant had filed 2 separate motions for specific discovery. The first dealt with communication between the assigned deputy county attorney and law enforcement agencies. I've read the, and the second one was, well, let's deal with the first one. I've read the response from the state. Basically, your response is you have disclosed all those communications. There are no other communications.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. So let me ask the defendant.
Yeah, we received 6 email communications, and they were in a short time frame, not the full time frame. And it seems to me that in the last email ends in kind of a question that was probably answered, and then there's like no more communication. So it doesn't make sense that there's no more. We asked for all of them if they could be provided to us. We don't understand why they're not being provided to us, and what the state is possibly hiding at this point, and they can't just turn it over so that we can go through them. It's been, you know, long over a month since we filed that motion. So we would just like them to please turn over whatever they have left.
All right, and I'll ask the deputy county attorney. I imagine some communications are by phone. So in other words, we're not captured.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Based on the states of Vallow, I don't know, I can't tell them to turn over something they say they don't have. So I'll find that the state, based on their Vallow and officers of the court, have complied with the request. The second one is a little more, I wanted to get clarification on. That was defendant's request for video interviews, but it seemed like based on the state's response that there was some confusion about what was a interview recorded in an interrogation room situation versus a body cam. Did the state's response provide clarification to you?
No. So the body cams were turned over, and they're in like 12-minute increments. There's like 4 different body cams. This was a full 2-hour video that was released by Gilbert Police to the public, and it's online. So I would like that video of the interrogation room, the full.
Welcome back. That is fucking hilarious. Yeah, right? The off-the-shoulder look with the matching bra is just sending me. He does take his hair seriously. He does. It is a very nice haircut. Yep. And he has nice eyes too, I think.
2-hour one to be turned over to the defense.
Arizona.
All right, so do you know what
Gilbert PD is in Gilbert, Arizona.
that is?
Your Honor, based upon the defendant's reply, she's requesting a
2019 is when this happened.
video interview from the 31st. Those are on body cam and were turned over to the defense. We have requested everything from, I think that one was from actually the Gilbert Police Department. A lot of these overlap. So I am not sure what the defendant is.
Who was the person being interviewed? And you said the 2-hour interrogation that Gilbert released.
So it's myself and my daughter, Tylee Ryan, and Melanie Gibb.
And is that in an interrogation type room?
Yeah, it was at the Gilbert Police Station, and I didn't realize we were being filmed that whole time. I didn't know we were being filmed, but we were being filmed in that room.
And are you familiar with a video in a room?
Yes, that's what we have disclosed, is an interview of, it is
And you're saying you don't have it?
defendant, her daughter, and another.
And you're saying you haven't gotten that?
They have given 4 about 12-minute body cam videos of the policemen's body cams that were
Have y'all not seen these? Because we can totally watch them.
in the room with us, and they go in and out of the room at different times. So there's different body cams. They're all mixed up. It's not the full entire one. And the full entire, my understanding is that the full entire 2-hour interrogation.
By the way, she's still got her fucking stupid ass wedding ring on. The ones that they bought on whatever, Amazon. Look, she's still got her fucking wedding ring on. I think that's what that is.
Room video from the ceiling is available.
Pretty sure. Or, well, maybe they give you a special one in jail. Hang on. How does that work? Now I'm like, wait, hang on, because that's definitely something on her finger, but like, I'm sure they confiscate your normal jewelry. Do they give you like a proxy wedding ring? Does anybody know? The malachite rings. That's what it was. But I don't think they let you keep that shit in jail, right? She's cuffed in court because she's killed a billion people. I know you're asking so it varies by many things, right? Sometimes people are still cuffed. Other times they aren't. For those of you guys who saw with Alex Murdaugh at his trial, he was roaming around chatting it up, shooting the shit, parading around that courtroom like he owned the place. It just depends by jurisdiction and by when I say court, judge, right? So the malachite rings, you can have your wedding bands. Okay, really? So maybe that is, I mean, it's just funny. And it stands out to me, which is what's making me realize I feel like with defendants, you don't usually see that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, whoa, wait, I don't know that I've remember ever seeing a wedding ring on a defendant, even though many of them are married, right? Crazy. It just depends for the cuffing of the people. And now at trial, and actually, I think it does come up in this hearing, by the way. I think it does come up in this hearing about her cuffing situation at trial. I think it does come up and they'll address that, right? Especially since she's going to be the attorney. Incredible. So Flash said he saw this, but he'd watch it again. Has anybody not seen the Arizona shit, right? Like the interviews and like the body cam and whatnot.
Online, but I don't have it in discovery.
Yeah. The Pebbles Flintstone. Dude, yes, Pebbles Flintstone. That too. The way she's just whining.
But the full entire 2-hour interrogation room video from the ceiling is available online, but I don't have it in discovery.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. So did the state disclose not a body cam, but an interrogation from up in the corner of a room vantage point?
What is SR?
I mean, if you disclosed a lot, let me see if I can find out. You did.
That prosecutor has very nice hair also. Nice hair going on, except for Lori, dude. Like, just realize, like, the judge's hair is on point. Her hair is on point. And I was actually going to comment on the lack of frizz, probably because I know it's very dry in Arizona. But Lori somehow has managed to have frizzy hair. It's really kind of crazy.
Yes, my paralegal is present here as well, and she has advised that we did. Your Honor, we disclosed over.
Can your paralegal provide a Bates number or something so that maybe the defense just has overlooked it?
Let me see if we can find the actual.
Okay. So far, she's been convicted for 3. Okay. Her 2 children and Tammy Daybell. Charles is what she's on here for, and that would be number 4. However, okay, her past, there's some iffiness in the past. Regarding, I'm trying to remember, I did a deep dive on this a few years back. At least one, if not more, of her siblings that died in suspicious circumstances. And also, in addition to that, there's her other husbands. Charles Ryan? I'm pretty sure she fucking killed him. Like, the suspicious deaths surrounding her are numerous, but the first suspicious death of which she was a suspect for her involvement with was Charles Vallow. So,
Maybe the discovery notice, discovery letter.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta look at the moon, guys. Right, her brother. So Alex Cox, I felt like that 100% was very suspicious. However, that they have come out multiple times, by they, I mean like literally everybody, to say that there was no foul play, but like Zulama was there. That never sat right with me. I'll be honest with you. I didn't include her brother in the list because they've, again, they've come out and they've said officially there was no foul play. But that never sat right with me, and I always figured she was involved with that. I don't see any other way around it. Joe Ryan, thank you. Did I say Charles? Joe Ryan, thank you, Flash. Yeah. Yep. Joe Ryan. That's right. So I would say definitely Joe Ryan, and Alex Cox never sat right with me either. And then Lorelai, who they called like Lolo, was like one of the siblings, but there was another sibling too. So Lorelai died really young, and then there was Stacy, I believe. See, now it's starting to come back to me as I talk about it. Stacy. Those are the two siblings before you even get to Alex Cox, right? That died with suspicious circumstances. So that would be one. If you go through the whole total, right? If you go through the Stacy, Lorelai, Alex Cox, Joe Ryan, and then you add in the 4, Charles, Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. So 8. We're looking at maybe 8. And the thing too is that Larry Woodcock and Kay Woodcock have told a story about one time when they were around Lori, and she had this like killer fruit salad. Killer. That was an accidental pun. That was supposed to be like really great, right? It was like this fruit salad that everybody said it was like the best fruit salad in the whole world, and like they are 100% certain that she poisoned it trying to kill them on one occasion. And there's also all those stories, right, of Tylee. Well, Lori even herself says Tylee was being sick, Tylee was being ill. There's a lot of insider information with people that are close to the family and close to the case that she was maybe long-term poisoning Tylee, and maybe even acute poisoning people. Like that was maybe her thing, was like the poisoning. So that's a whole thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there as it pertains to the siblings. And just, again, poisoning is one of those things where if you can poison somebody discreetly, then it's going to look like it was natural causes, right? I mean, Jesus. Although once you've killed a bunch of people, you're less likely to get away with that, right? Could the fruit salad make a delicious lunch? That's a great question right there. Okay, I'm going to look at the moon. Twiz is referring, I didn't see the moon yet. Twiz is referring to Wendy and her delicious lunch. I guess Heather's probably making dinner for the Pitbullpotamus. Wendy and her delicious lunch. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if Wendy ate for her delicious lunch if she ate a poisoned fruit salad?
I ate a lunch, like I had a whole delicious lunch.
That one. Oh, she's got a lot of bracelets on. The advisory council lady. It's a blood worm moon. We still don't know what the worm means. Heather, help us. What is the worm part? We don't know yet. Blood worm moon. So you can see advisory council muting the microphone there so that their conversation is not heard. Now, if I were Lori, okay, let me not say that. If Lori had other counsel, this happens all the time. This happened recently, even if you think about like the Shanna Gardner case. Like one thing that is happening right now is the camera is really kind of close to her legal pad, if you will, right? And whatever the fuck she's writing down. It doesn't matter what she's writing down. It could be doodling, whatever. Basically, though, if she had a regular attorney who was in charge, they could and probably would be throwing a fit over this, because that's not, one could, if one wanted to, probably figure out what that says, right? But alas, Lori is relying on herself, so. It's only partial right now. I'm gonna go look. It should go full in like 25 minutes-ish.
Your Honor, all we do have is the 4 body cam. We can ask again and see if they have a overall.
Are you getting this? Have you seen this or someone told you that there's this video?
My mitigator showed me part of that video. Yes, with my previous team. That's how I know about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know about it. She said, "Do you know this is online?" I didn't have any idea.
And you're sure it's the Gilbert PD on that date?
Correct.
All right, I'll ask the state to follow up with Gilbert on that.
We will, Your Honor.
There, if that is out there, obviously it should have been disclosed.
Mhm.
All right, remind me to follow up on that next time we are together. Next, I have a motion limine, two motions in limine, one regarding Alex Cox statements and one regarding Tylee Ryan's statements.
Y'all, it's happening. Go look at the moon. It's happening. Here's what I'm seeing. Maybe I can get a picture. It's doing exactly what it said it would. It's the partial bloodworm moon. And it's the reddish thing is happening over it. Wow, cool.
All right, so let me ask the defendant. Generally, any hearsay is defined as any out of court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Okay, now we're getting to the hearsay. This is super exciting. Oh my God. Okay. He's defining hearsay for the defendant, AK, and her lawyer, which is herself. And now that's a terrible pause for him. And she's going to have to argue exceptions to hearsay.
Statements. All right, so let me ask the defendant. Generally, any hearsay is defined as any out of court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted. The state is referencing what are definitely out of court statements. Obviously, there's some exceptions to the hearsay rule, and there are other things that are characterized as non-hearsay. So how do you think, let's first talk about Alex Cox. How do you think the statements fit into either one of those exceptions or non-hearsay?
James, where are you at?
I feel like the state is blanketing that whole thing, and obviously it's like a case by case basis, right, on these statements. So there is the police interview of Alex Cox that I did not think falls under hearsay.
Why not?
Oh dear.
Why does it not fall under hearsay?
Yeah.
Because we're not using it for the truth of the matter asserted.
Couple things. All right, you can get a really good look at her stupid sports bra, but also I'm going to back it up so you can hear how she buys herself some time here. So they're getting into the hearsay.
So how do you think, let's first talk about Alex Cox. How do you think the statements fit into either one of those exceptions or non-hearsay?
I feel like the state is blanketing that whole thing, and obviously it's like a case by case basis, right, on these statements. So there is the police interview of Alex Cox that I did not think falls under hearsay.
Why not?
Why does it not fall under hearsay?
Yeah.
Because we're not using it for the truth of the matter asserted. We're using it in corroboration of the circumstances. Everyone came in and told their same story that corroborates different facts in there, not for the whole truth of the matter.
That's not
arguing that what he said was true?
Whoa.
I can't say whether another person says that it's true or not, but I'm saying what he said and what my daughter said and what I said in those 3 police interviews determined what the police said, how the police acted, what they did after that, their next steps, how they treated the entire case like it was self-defense. All of those are relevant to the defense that it was self-defense. So yes, I think they're for that purpose. But I also think that Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not all of his statements.
Such as
He
what?
just keeps talking as if it's going to help. You guys. Yeah, I'm going to take a picture for those of you guys who can't see the moon where you're at. What did she do before she was murdering people? I think she was like a hairstylist, but I don't know that she really ever worked all that much. I mean, she had a lot of husbands. She's going to go, I think she's going to throw Tyler into the bus route. But I mean, the initial story with Charles, right, when the whole thing happened, was the story they told was self-defense, essentially, right? That was complete and utter bullshit, but it was like Charles came at them with a bat, and then Alex, the deceased brother, shot him to protect the women or whatever the fuck, right? Her attitude, for real. Yeah. Let's hear this again. I'm going to try to go get a picture of that moon.
For that purpose. But I also think that Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not all of his statements.
Such as what? Which statements do you think they apply
So
to?
Specifically his statements made on body cam to police in the driveway, specifically his.
I don't know what the statements are, so that's what I'm asking. What specific statements do you think are allowed to come in under the rules of evidence?
I think under 8031, the present sense impression is his statements made to police officers at the house.
A present sense impression is where you're at.
This is the best part. I'm in a conundrum. I want to take a picture of the moon, but I do not want to miss her arguing incorrectly these exceptions to hearsay because this is fucking gold. So, I'm going to back it up just a second, buy myself 10 seconds to go get it. Try to get a picture of the moon. Okay. Thanks, guys.
But I also think that Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not all of his statements.
Such as what? Which statements do you think they apply to?
Specifically his statements made on body cam to police in the driveway, specifically his.
I don't know what the statements are, so that's what I'm asking. What specific statements do you think are allowed to come in under the rules of evidence?
I think under 8031, the present sense impression is his statements made to police officers at the house.
A present sense impression is where you're actually observing something and you're talking about it as you see it happen. So, isn't he saying, again, I don't know what the statements are, but is he saying what happened prior? Or is he saying something
prior.
that he's, okay,
Correct,
so it's not a
prior.
present sense impression.
Okay.
What else?
Then I think it falls under 8032, excited utterance. He was under the stress of the whole situation when he made those statements.
Okay, hang on. Things are happening with the moon. Rochelle. Okay, hold on. Where did it go? Rochelle was able to get a much better picture than me because probably she took more time and I was trying. I'm like, I don't want to miss the hearsay. So, but Rochelle's picture looks, yeah, I'm seeing the same thing, but this is a better picture. And I just got, let me take a look here of the one well, I'll show you guys both. I'll pull up both so you guys can see because mine's more zoomed out. So give me just 1 second. I need to back this up though. I'm gonna back this up and I'm gonna download these and then I'll put them on the screen here. Okay.
Yes, I think they're for that purpose.
Oh, there's the self-defense. Okay, Jesus.
But I also think that Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not all of his statements.
Such as what? Which statements do you think they apply to?
Specifically his statements made on body cam to police in the driveway, specifically his.
I don't know what the statements are, so that's what I'm asking. What specific statements do you think are allowed to come in under the rules of evidence?
I think under 8031, the present sense impression is his statements made to police officers at the house.
A present sense impression is where you're actually observing something and you're talking about it as you see it happen. So, isn't he saying, again, I don't know what the statements are, but is he saying what happened prior? Or is he saying something
prior.
that he's, okay,
Correct,
so it's
prior.
not a present sense impression.
Okay.
What else?
Then I think it falls under 8032, excited utterance. He was under the stress of the whole situation.
This is amazing. And Rochelle sent a video. Thank you, Rochelle. Oh my gosh. This is, dude, the way that I love this just so much. But I want to be able to give this the full attention, and I can't do that right now while I'm doing the moon. Let's take a look at these. So I'm going to share this to you guys. This is very exciting. I love this with the moon. Okay, let me pull the banner down. Hold on. Okay, so a couple things to show y'all. So first of all, where I think I started it with an L. Okay, so first of all, pull this up. Okay, so you guys know how I always talk about how I think it's so funny how Vinnie Politan always does that thing with like his shows where he always has a little thing on the background with a question mark. And one of the ones I reference a lot that's really fucking funny is the Mr. Accidental Factory Reset. Anyway, so here's the recent ones. I just happened to see second this, but these were really funny with Lori. He had this one. Actually, that was the first one. And then it was this one. Will it be I just think it's hilarious. Okay, so that was the first thing. Now we're going to look at moon pictures. So let's see, does it save under, where is Rochelle's? Hold on. I just had it. Okay, well, here's the one I took. So, again, real quick, but you can see the power lines in the way, but you can get an idea of, you can see the red part, right? So now let me see if I can pull up the Rochelle picture because it's a lot better. Okay, here's Rochelle's. Okay, so this is good. Thank you so much for this, Rochelle. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Cool. Bloodworm moon for the win. Whee! That's funny. I would tend to agree with you, Tonka. Well, of course, manipulative, right? But the sane part, I would agree. And I have a lot of thoughts on this in terms of her psychology. But I do think she is, I don't think she's like actually out to lunch. That's my personal opinion. And I have many reasons why I think that, because there's definitely been times where I've thought that, but when you really go deep into it and you take a closer look, and especially, I'll tell you what really sealed the deal for me was the speech she gave at her sentencing. That sealed the deal for me. That she's not actually out to lunch, as they say. She knows what she's saying. That's interesting. You can't see any red, Twiz. Weird. Huh. Maybe it'll change as it progresses to where you'll be able to see it. Well, they're calling this one a bloodworm moon from what I saw. A bloodworm moon. Yeah. So why is this? Okay. So now let's go back to the hearing. We will keep an eye on the moon situation. It should be full eclipsiness in like about 10 minutes, I think. So, okay. Let me just unshare, reshare.
And I'm saying
I
what
think
he
there is a
said
dog
and
moon.
what my daughter said and what I said in those 3 police interviews determined what the police said, how the police acted, what they did after that, their next steps, how they treated the entire case like it was self-defense. All of those are relevant to the defense that it was self-defense. So yes, I think they're for that purpose. But I also think that Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not.
You have to say what they are. You can't just say a lot of exceptions. You have to give the exceptions.
All of his statements.
Such as what?
Yeah.
Which statements do you think they apply to?
specifically his statements made on body cam to police
Here
in
we
the
go.
driveway, specifically his.
I don't know what the statements are, so that's what I'm asking. What specific statements do you think are allowed to come in under the rules of evidence?
I think under 8031, the present sense impression is his statements made to police officers at the house.
A present sense impression is where you're actually observing something and you're talking about it as you see it happen. So, isn't he saying, again, I don't know what the statements are, but is he saying what happened prior? Or is he saying
Yes,
something
prior.
that he's, okay,
Correct,
so it's not a
prior.
present sense impression.
Okay.
There you go.
What else?
Then I think it falls under 8032, excited utterance. He was under the stress of the whole situation when he made those statements.
What was his demeanor when he made those statements?
Upset.
What's the specific statement?
I shot my brother-in-law in self-defense. I got hit in the head with a bat. There was an altercation. I don't know what all the statements are, but
How long after the incident did he make these statements?
immediately after, as far as I know.
It was not
Well, immediately
immediate.
to some people it means 2 seconds, to other people it means 30 minutes. Tell me what immediately means to you.
As soon as the police arrived.
I don't know what, did they arrive 30 minutes after?
Oh my God,
incident?
Lori,
10
why?
minutes, an hour?
I was not there. I do not know what time they arrived.
Great. Wonderful.
All right.
Well done.
Let me, so you're asserting excited utterance. Some of these statements come in. What else?
8033, the mental, emotional, and physical condition, because it shows his state of mind, which was scared at the time.
No.
Any others?
Yes. 8035B, the recorded recollection. I know that in the state's,
No.
in the state's
No.
reply to my response,
Absolutely not, Lori.
they did not think that 805 applied because A, B, and C, but I did not see an and after A. So my assumption was that B and C, since there's an and after B, were what needed to be put together. So B was made or adopted by this witness when the matter was fresh in the witness's memory and accurately reflects the witness's knowledge. So I felt like 803B5B, the recorded recollection of his police interview and the body cam footage,
Recorded recollection is things like a journal or a diary.
applies under that exception.
All right. Generally 8035 is a recorded recollection, meaning it's something they wrote down, or maybe they recorded their voice saying something. Let me ask the state to respond. We're just talking about the Alex Cox statements.
Your Honor,
Maybe I should start with,
Yeah.
does the state intend on introducing any statements from Alex Cox?
Your Honor, I haven't decided if we will at this point. I can say with 100% certainty, we will not be admitting his interview by police that was done at after 10 o'clock in the morning. We don't,
Are you referencing what time he was interviewed versus the time of the incident?
let me say it this way. So the state has laid out in its motion the timeline. So that is actually in our motion. We show that when
8:30 a.m.
is when the
roughly.
911 call was made. So we have soon after that, the police arrived and there's body cam video from that interview. Then Alex Cox is later brought to the police station and there is,
Yeah, hybristophilia. Right. I know. I covered the 911 call. Transcript. The state is saying that there's exceptions to hearsay because technically the 911 call is hearsay. Now, normally 911 calls always come in, right? We see that in every trial, but they're saying, I guess they're anticipating an objection from the defense, and so to prevent that, they're going ahead and saying this is why it needs to be let in because again, there's hearsay and then there's exceptions to hearsay, and so two of the exceptions to hearsay that they gave were present sense impression and excited utterance. I think they had some other examples as well, but for sure, that is accurate. Definitely. There's a reason why 911 calls are always let in, right? And it's because even though they're all hearsay, they're all going to fall under present sense impression, excited utterance, or probably a combination of both. There are no mods. Why do you ask? Do you think there needs to be a mod? It's just me and Nightbot.
It's a in-depth interview with detectives at a little after 10 o'clock in the morning.
So you may or may not be attempting to introduce statements at or around the time that the police responded.
Correct, Your Honor. If we do, those would be brought in as co-conspirator statements against a party interest. So obviously the state can bring in statements that are hearsay against a party.
Right. But I guess, is the state intending on introducing any statements of,
What do you mean, Rochelle? The 911 call is almost all third party. If it is like the transcripts. What do you mean by third party? But I appreciate that Beachroom says she'll mod for me. That's very nice of you to offer. You know, we've only ever had the one troll, Glenn, and the Legend of Glenn, and other than that, we seem to not have any issues. And that is a good point, that many of you guys are also mods on other channels. I was talking the other day about how, like, I think it was maybe during the first Karen Reed trial, we were really lucky because people felt like they could come and watch it and it was like a safe place. Like, I'm saying those are the words that people were saying even just the other day. Like, it was a safe place where they could come and watch it. But every now and again, we would get somebody who would come in and just say something crazy, right? And I don't know if it was a real person or a bot or whatever. They would like say like one or two things. And it was just, what I loved is literally everyone just ignored them and they just went away on their own, right? I never had to, like, because what happens is in other places where you've got people that come in and say insane shit, then people like respond, right? And then they stay there. But if you just like ignore them, like literally that's what I've noticed. If you just, people just were I ignored them, people in the chat ignored them, and that was it. They just sort of like were like, well, this isn't any fun, and left. I mean, that's, I imagine what happened, right? But anyway, Glenn is the only person who was here that we had to ever, after 3 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah, Twiz is not a mod. Huh. Okay, sorry. So Rochelle's clarifying. Right, that's correct. But what do you mean? But why are you saying it's like, what difference does that make though? Because I think that maybe there's a legal question here that I can maybe help answer as it pertains to the 911 call. The 911 call, I don't want to get derailed and pull up the documents, but I would say with the 911 call, I would almost say it's not hearsay, right? It's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's just, it is what it is. Like, I think that the excited utterances and the presence impression could maybe that was in reference to the text message exchange between DM and BF. That would make sense. That would make sense. The 911 call also, I think, yeah, I don't think it really is hearsay, but even if it was, you can get around that though, because it is, I think there's also a public records exception for that as well. Because that is an exception, the public records. Like, I know it's not public now, but it is technically a public record. So as far as the 911 call, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who called. Oftentimes when people call 911, it's complete strangers, right? Most of the time, there's a car accident, somebody calls, hey, I just saw a car accident, or whatever. Or somebody reports something to them. Hey, someone just told me to call 911. I mean, that's so often the case. So yeah, I'm growing as a channel. I suppose I guess that's true. In third person. Okay. I still don't know. Flash says this is where mods during the day come to relax. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys feel that way. That's awesome. Never heard of Black Hawk. Sounds dangerous in a way. To always talk. Okay, I'm trying to understand what you mean, Rochelle. Hmm. I don't think I'm understanding what you mean, Rochelle. To always talk third person. What is the significance to you, though, of them not mentioning blood, death, or dying? Not in this chat, the Blackhawk dude. I've never seen a Blackhawk anyway. I've never seen a Blackhawk. Like wasn't that a movie back in the day? I never saw it though. But I really want to answer Rochelle's question about this 911 call because I think it's important. And again, I could pull up the documents, but I don't want to do that since we're in the middle of this hearing. But well, let me just see something real quick. Let me just do it this way. Let me just do it this way. Because where is it? Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so they are saying that I won't call as present sense and excited utterance. I thought maybe that pertains to the text messages, but I think that might also be what they're saying for that as well. So present sense impression, excited utterance. Yeah, of course we covered. I'm just scrolling right through it. Present sense impressions. Now here's the other thing. I agree with Judge. Judge ruled that it was not hearsay. So if it's not hearsay, it doesn't need exceptions. And literally, what was I just saying? That's like literally what I just said. I was like, actually, I would say the 911 call isn't even hearsay. That's what I just said. Judge already ruled that it was not hearsay because it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. And that's exactly what I said, right? Because literally everything in there is like inaccurate or like isn't specific enough. Like it's literally just the 911 call is a mess, right? Like they don't give a lot of information. It's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Literally, they're just trying to get an address and figure out what the fuck is going on, and they don't even get that much. So yeah, Judge found that it was not even hearsay, but if it was, there were the exceptions that apply. I think it's not hearsay, in my opinion. I would say it's not hearsay. So yeah, hopefully that clarifies it a little bit. I totally understand, Rochelle. I get it. I totally get it. Yep. National chapters have scripts for all these things. That's why they have 24/7 emergency numbers. I don't know what that's in reference to, though. I don't know what you mean. But I understand. I totally get what you mean. You know, one thing I want to mention too, guys, for y'all who didn't know, in Discord, one thing you can do in Discord is you can do like a voice thing. Like basically what you do is there's like the microphone, you know, like if you're going to type something in and there's like a microphone button, you have to press and hold it. And if you press and hold it, you can do a voice thing. Because I totally understand it's way easier to talk than to type sometimes. And I mean, you know, and in fact, I oftentimes do that anyway, even with text messages or in Discord. I'm like, I'm not going to type all this out. Let me just put it in a voice message or just whatever. So if you want to try to explain something that way, just for anybody, whenever, just letting y'all know, for anyone who didn't know, you can do that. You can like just press and hold that microphone and then you can do a voice thing. Oh, I need to go look at the moon again as well. That's too bad. That it wasn't very clear for you. But yeah, hopefully that helps clarify about the 911 call. Now, remember, the defense has a chance to respond. Now, we don't know yet what they might not object. We don't know. Well, so we'll see what the defense says in their response, right? But in my opinion, it's not hearsay. That's what I would say.
Tylee.
No, Your Honor. Kylie made no statements at the scene other than giving her general biographical information. on body cam. Her entire statements were made at the police station, again, after 10 in the morning.
All right.
The reason she mentioned 10 in the morning is to show the remoteness in time. So it's not present sense impression. Those of you guys who watched Depp v. Her and Elaine, and how many times did Judge A have to define present sense impression to her? And Elaine never seemed to grasp that it's when it's the present sense, present being the key word.
So on your response as it relates to Tylee, you say, again, present sense impression. I don't think it's a present sense impression. You also argue excited utterance. What else?
8033, which is mental, emotional, and physical condition, with the same thing, her state of mind, then being scared. And also 8043, statement against interest. They use that statement in the indictment where Tylee says that Charles says, if you hit me with that bat, you're going to jail. That's the part where she's nervous in her interview, saying she's scared to tell the police that she's the one that brought in the bat. So state of mind and the statement against interest both apply to Tylee's
All right.
police interview.
All right. Anything else? Does the state want to be heard further on that?
Your Honor, the only further thing I think that the state will bring in is that obviously the defendant has been found guilty of killing both Tylee, other individuals, but in this case, the defendant cannot benefit from killing a witness and then later try to bring in their statements for their benefit. So in addition to none of her statements being admissible under the rules of evidence, as any of the exceptions that the defendant has done, we also believe that it would be improper for her to be allowed to bring them in under that theory.
In other words, there's been a judicial finding that the reason Tylee's unavailable as a witness is because of the defendant's actions.
Correct, Your Honor. There has been a jury trial and she has been convicted of that.
All right. All right. The court is on a preliminary basis precluding references to Tylee Ryan's statements, any statement made by Tylee Ryan. If there's some reason where a door might be open to any of those statements coming in,
Door.
the defendant's requested to make a request outside the presence of the jury regarding that, and we'll deal with that outside the presence of the jury.
Door.
On Alex Cox, I think that's probably going to be more of a statement by statement basis.
You
But I'm
guys,
skeptical of.
you guys are so funny. Isn't that double hearsay? What are you referencing to there, Flash? I'm looking for the videos here for Lori too. So
Any statements coming in hours after the initial police response. I think we'll deal with what statements may or may not come in when the police first arrived on scene and or the 911 at the time that
Rochelle, thank you for
they're
that.
attempted to be
picture.
introduced.
Sweet.
All right. I also received yesterday state's notice of disclosure and request for disclosure. Did you get a copy of that?
No,
You haven't seen that yet?
no.
I'm sorry, the
State's notice of disclosure and request for disclosure. I didn't realize it was actually filed in January, so you should have seen that. I misspoke when I said I got it yesterday. It was filed January 16th. Have you seen that?
I'm looking it up. What are we? Dates.
I think that the court may have ruled on that one, Your Honor.
Well, I don't think I ruled on at the very end. You're requesting,
Thank you, Rochelle. I'm gonna pull up Rochelle's picture real quick. Really good picture here. There you go. Look at that. Great picture. Great picture. So she's posting these in the Discord. Awesome. There it is. Bloodworm moon, guys. There you go. There you go. Now we know. Let me just pull this back up. All right. The dog moon, right? The dog moon.
she submit to
Yes.
fingerprints, palm print, footprint.
Oh, that's okay. I think that was fired, yes, significantly. So that would be to tie her to any of her.
Is that for other conviction
Correct,
purposes?
yes.
All right. And when did you want to do that?
Okay.
If we are going to be here on the 18th, we can take them then.
I don't know that we need to be here on the 18th.
And obviously, I was unaware we were going to set this because we set it
Right.
just recently. So I don't know if we can keep that on just to take that.
Okay, what about the state, you requested copies of any recorded statements made during interviews conducted outside of your presence. Is there any of those, were there any interviews conducted by you or your team? Of
So
any,
far?
were there any interviews conducted of any witnesses out by you or your team that you're aware of?
So far, not that I'm aware of.
Right. Do you plan on calling any experts to testify?
We do plan on calling one expert.
Who's that? Has it been disclosed to the state?
Oh my God.
We are, yes, we're working on that today as an addendum to the
Who's that?
witness list that, Lonnie Dworkin.
All right. That's your investigator?
No, my investigator, Jeff White.
Oh,
That's the expert.
what kind of expert is Lonnie Dworkin?
Phone and digital.
I think I remember his name. Are you aware of that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, expert reports and disclosures are due 30 days before trial generally under the rules, so if you're planning on using that witness, you need to get that disclosed right away, and I may have to take that up depending on what the state's position is. But at this point, it's technically late.
Maybe another reason to be here on the 18th. Obviously, if that's disclosed this week, we can potentially address that issue on the 18th.
All right, let me ask the defendant, do you have a position on the taking of prints and photographs? Generally, identification type things are permitted over any defendant objections. So do you have a record you want to make on that?
Not really.
All right, I don't see any
For
reason
what
why,
purpose? I don't understand.
in the event that you're convicted, it may be used to prove other convictions. That reminds me, is the state planning on proceeding in the second trial, regardless of what happens in the first trial?
I believe so, yes, Your Honor.
And how much time would you need between the conclusion of the first trial and the start of the second trial?
Your Honor, I would say at least 30 days since we do need to actually subpoena out-of-state witnesses for the second trial.
Oh. I wonder if that's the one regarding Brandon Boudreaux. Does anybody know? I wonder if that, I was literally thinking about that. I wonder if that's what that is.
I'm wondering if it wouldn't benefit everyone to go ahead and set that, a provisional second trial date now.
That's fine, Your Honor.
If she testifies, that may not be the case. And here's why. She may end up testifying in narrative format, like Robert Tellis did. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I would expect her to take the stand, and I would expect her to take the stand in narrative format. That's what I would expect, because counsel cannot elicit false testimony.
May 11th is still my last day.
Is that second trial,
Right.
how long do you think it would take the state to
Probably
present?
about 3 weeks as well.
Similar?
I'm not gonna-
Oh, he did? Huh.
Your Honor, I'd like to remind the court that the last day is May 11th.
Well, I'll probably exclude some time based on the fact that you can't do two trials at once.
The state could combine the trials and do two trials at once, but they don't want to do two trials at once. So it really violates my speedy trial rights if they do not give me a speedy trial by May 11th for both cases.
It's got to be
Not to mention that
Chad Daybell. That's all Idaho. That's already done. That's already done. All the convictions already done for Tammy Daybell.
they did combine all the discovery into one case. They didn't give me two different separate discoveries for two different cases, which would be much more convenient considering the voluminous amount of discovery that they piled onto us.
Oh boy.
Does the state want to do combine both cases?
Your Honor, if the court gave us a little time to work it out and the defendant wants to join
Oh,
them, I
oh,
mean,
oh.
obviously,
Oh,
I don't know that,
the normal defense attorney, and I don't mean that in any way, normally they would be severed,
severed because you don't want one jury to know about the other
correct?
two separate charges and have a
Right.
harmful rub-off effect.
right.
Of the evidence in one case affecting the evidence in another case.
Correct, Your Honor. That's why they were filed separately. But if the defendant wants them together, the state would have to request this be pushed back slightly so that we could then get all the witnesses for that trial together. since they were not subpoenaed for this trial. But if that's what the defendant wants, to join them, and she understands that prejudice and that she's then going to be waiving that prejudice with that, then the state is certainly willing.
How is Lori still getting highlights in her hair? I wonder. There must be some prison trick for that.
to do that, but we would then have
Right,
to
I
request
know,
to
for
have
sure.
that trial, or this trial, they moved back.
Well,
to allow us to get there.
James, she was convicted of it. she's already been convicted, and it wasn't his ex-wife. They were still married. Chad was still married to Tammy when Tammy died, just like Lori was still married to Charles when Charles died. However, the difference being that with Chad and Tammy, they were not even separated or estranged or any of that. She's already been convicted because remember, if you conspire and solicit and whatnot, right? Conspiracy, it's one and the same, just like with all these other cases where people are they conspire or they solicit. It's the same as being the person who pulled the trigger or whatever the murder weapon was in the case.
Other witnesses lined up.
That's not what they're talking about here, Flash. They're talking about combining the two different. It's got to be the Brandon Boudreaux thing. They're not talking about two different defendants or two different juries. They're just talking about normally these would be tried separately so that a jury doesn't, like with prior bad acts, right? So the jury's not like, oh, look at all the other bad shit this person did, right? But Lori is almost saying, let's have it all to go at once because of her speedy trial.
That was not, that's not what I was saying. It's to combine them. I'm just saying, give me my second trial by May 11th. So the court can figure that out.
All right, well, I'm going to waive some time on that second trial over the defendant's objection. Primarily, again, the defendant can't try both cases at the same time. Secondly, I'm not sure how much actual prejudice there is with a time violation in the sense that you wouldn't be released from custody anyway. And thirdly, the rule for time violations under Rule 8, I think it's 8.6 is that any violation should be a dismissal without prejudice unless there's an actual prejudice shown, in which case the state could just refile the charge. Regardless, I
This is for Charles Vallow. This is for Charles Vallow. That's why they're in Arizona.
think sometime is.
What we're going to do, we're almost at the end of this hearing. What we're going to do is we're going to watch, I've got them pulled up and ready to go. We're going to watch the body cam footage of Charles reporting the crazy shit that Lori was doing right before he died. And we're also going to watch Lori's interview with Gilbert PD.
To be excluded because primarily you can't try two cases at once. What if we set a start date for May 12th? I realize that's could potentially be a quick turnaround, but again, I don't think this case is going to take 6 weeks.
Your Honor,
We can adjust that as necessary.
He really thinks it's not going to take 6 weeks, but the prosecution said probably will.
again, I'm going to ask for a longer time. I believe this will go through the beginning of May, and to have the state try to get those witnesses lined up and subpoenaed while in trial, I don't believe is.
Well, if I push it out any further, the parties need to be aware that I won't be trying the case. I don't think I would be anyway. I'm rotating at the end of June.
Oh,
And given some of the trainings I have to attend in June, I
Roger. Oh, no, I like this judge.
don't think we could get it done.
I like this
Well,
judge.
both parties could send out subpoenas now for that second date for May 12th, correct?
Well, that's assuming we're done by about May 1st, probably, in this case, the first case.
And then, Your Honor, I did indicate that the state needs to be dark in May, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Dark.
You said 21, 22, 23? Correct.
From May.
And I would need to be dark the 19th, 20th, and 21st as well. So.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
given that we would be dark that entire week anyways, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Let me speak with the criminal presiding judge about scheduling the second trial. We can discuss it on the 18th. Let's keep the 18th, but let's move it to later in the morning. Actually, let's move it up. All we're going to do is discuss a couple matters, and then there's no reason for the fingerprinting and stuff to be broadcast or on video, so I'll prohibit that from being recorded.
I think it sounds to me like he wants to stay on the case, actually. Because he could have, like, he was like, well, we could, if we put it out, then I won't be on the case. I think he wants to stay on it. But that is a problem, though, that they all need to be dark that period in May. Being rotated off is not up to him, but he said he wants to speak with the presiding dude. I wonder if that's why. Like he said about scheduling, I wonder if he's going to be like, look, here's what's going on. Can you just rotate me the following week, or I don't know, whatever, you know?
Or otherwise broadcast. So have your person here. Let's do that at 8:15 a.m. on March 18th. And then we'll also discuss whether the defense is disclosing Lonnie Dworkin as a witness and whether or not he has a report, expert report prepared and disclosed at that time.
The thing is,
I will have,
it's better for everybody. Like when you have a good judge, right? It's better like for everybody for the same judge to stay on a a related case, because think of how much more time it would take for a new judge, right? To take over. I think that there's maybe some, like look at Sarah Boone, look at Daryl Burks. Those judges, I'm sure, couldn't wait to be done. But I know, I think that this seems to have been going, this whole process with Lori here in Arizona seems to have been actually going smooth, like compared to other cases, surprisingly smooth. And he seems very reasonable. And I can understand that. I could understand wanting to see it through, and also, again, for it being better for, taxpayer dollars and whatnot too, right? Because it would just be such a easier time versus having a new judge on the case. So
the questionnaire for you by then, so you can review it. Anything else we need to discuss that I've forgotten about from the state's perspective?
Your Honor, I showed two other motions that the defense filed that I did not see rulings on by the court. They were both motions to dismiss. One of them only related to the 2022 case, I think.
It's a good question here about court reporters. So court reporters are interesting because they all have different methods. And I've heard from people that worked in the courts that like one, even within the same jurisdiction in the same courthouse, one court reporter can't even read another court reporter's notes. You've probably noticed there's some people that use a voice thing, like in the Murdoch trial, they had those voice things they spoke into, and whatever they're speaking is like code, right? And then a thing does transcribe it. Other people are typing, but they've all got their own methods. And then the reason it takes time for a transcript is because then the court reporters go back through their notes that only they can understand. And then they go through and then they turn it into the real deal transcript. So no, there's not programs. And that's the thing. We see it all the time. It gets things wrong. The captions, whether it's voice to text, whether it's autocorrect, whether it's anytime that something tries to, in other words, I think it's an example of where sometimes, at least at this juncture, there's things that can only be done by a human. And even if it's just for the sake of like, there's things that might be tough to understand unless you're there in person. And it could be like, for example, there's people talking over each other oftentimes in court. Or there's words that are unintelligible. The other thing that court reporters do is they notate gestures. So if somebody points to something but doesn't describe it, or they gesture, let's say they're pointing to something on their arm or whatever, they make a gesture. Oftentimes you'll hear attorneys say, okay, and for the record, they just pointed to their da-da-da, but not every attorney remembers to do it. But typically court reporters will also notate the gesture. So in other words, they can also differentiate between things that are really unintelligible, or maybe it was like people talking over each other. Hopefully that kind of makes sense as to why it would be woefully inaccurate to not have a human doing it. And, those transcripts are so important, as you guys know.
All right, okay. Both of them related to both.
What's the filing date?
What's the point of what?
January 14th for one of them. It was an 8.2 speedy trial one. on February 4th, which was
That's crazy.
the
that there's
extradition
politics.
rule 8.3.
Of February 4th. Okay, so the motion to dismiss CR 2022-001242 for lack of speedy trial.
Great question. What happens to the court reporter in between? Yep, I think about this. I also think about this a lot, Rochelle. I do think about this. Yeah, it came up. You know where it came up in? It came up in not dying, but something similar. I think it was Sarah Boone is where it came up, where it was like, I forget what happened. They had to have somebody pitch hit for the court reporter one day. I think maybe she was ill or really sick, something like that. And then they needed to pull up the note, the transcript from the previous day. This was like, I think it might have been pre-trial. I think it was around the time when they were doing the Richardson hearing. But then it was a whole thing because they were like, she can't read it. And it was like a whole thing. And that's what really got me thinking about it. I was like, holy fuck. I don't know. It's a good question. What happens if something happens to the court reporter between, I don't know. Yeah, there's only one per courtroom. I don't know the answer to that, honestly. It's crazy, right? Like, because they can't, like, well, yeah, they're like not allowed to die. They're not allowed to be sick. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know the answer to that. I guess somebody would try their best. But again, from what I understand, like, I think that's where it came up with Sarah Boone. From what I understand, it's like they literally can't, there's nothing, like they can't understand it at all. Now, maybe there could be some, you could get lucky in some places where maybe some people use similar methods, but I just remember that coming up where it was like literally the person's like, I can't do anything with this. You know, they have their own, it's so crazy, right? So, Rochelle, I don't know. Great questions. Why don't they have one standard of doing it? I have no idea. I think that would make a lot of sense. I assumed that was the case, you know, and then I always assumed that was the case. However, I was like, well, that's weird because sometimes you see people talking into the thing and other times you see them typing. But I was like, well, I guess that's just two standards. But no. Au contraire, it's a lot more. One standard would make a lot of sense. What are you saying, Twiz? Lost in translation, probably have to watch the video and do it over. If you're talking about a trial, I mean, the thing is that most cases, most trials, and there's not usually cameras, right? Only, okay, think about it this way, guys, right? In the state of New York, no cameras ever anywhere. And in federal court, no cameras anywhere. And then even in states that have it, most things don't have cameras. So can't go back and watch it. If that's what you're asking. That's interesting. They had two court reporters' names. Interesting. So maybe that, you know, and and that was a 9-month trial, right? I wonder if that's part of it. Like, I mean, that's so unusual, obviously. I wonder if it's like, that's why they had two, was because somebody could die. Maybe they just make a judgment call, like, in 6 weeks, is somebody likely to die? Of course, you could never say that. So it's a silly question anyway, right? Or maybe it was just because they knew it was like going to be such a massive high profile trial. Yeah, I've never seen it with two people though, but, no, nope. Don't audio record either. Nope. That's the thing. So in the vast majority of trials, again, think every federal trial, think all of the state of New York, and think a lot of states, just because, unless it's high profile, right? Like the vast majority of trials in this country, the only record of that trial is going to, apart from people's freaking memories, which you get, I wouldn't count. The only record is going to be the transcript. That's it. So when you think of it and again, going back and watching it, that's not relied on for anything. You know, sometimes we hear that come up, like they go back and watch it. And usually when they say that, it's because they don't have a transcript yet, but that is not actually reliable typically for the big decisions, right? and especially for appellate purposes. The transcript is so important. And that's true. Right. That's right. Having them switch off and really, right. That's a good point. As long as they transcribe their own. Yeah. So the thing would be, hopefully if they're going to die, they go ahead and finish translating their notes from that day before they die. Right. Like if they were to leave court, say, you know, or maybe it's a lunch break and they leave, you know, midday and they get like in a deadly car accident or something and don't get to finish, you know, transcribing those notes, then, you know, but yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think they do that because that's why there's always a rough draft. Like they've got like a rough draft that can be available pretty much immediately. And then they do a final version. I think if it's someone else taking over and they've got the rough draft would at least be like words, right? Like for example, you'll hear a good example of that, like is in trials when like literally they're like, can you have the court reporter read that back? And they're like, okay. And then they read it back. That's the rough draft happening, right? Because what they're reading is not what their literal notes say. They're going ahead and rough drafting it. And they might do that. I wonder too, like, you know, when there's like silence or gaps or side, like, I wonder if they are going through and rough drafting it at that time. They might be doing that to keep up with it, you know? Maybe their little fingers get tired. I'm sure their fingers get tired. Oh my God, I'm sure. That's what I would prefer, like they have in Murdoch, the thing that they just speak into. Like they're not sitting there typing at all. They're speaking into that thingy in their mouth. I would totally do that one if I could. So, okay.
For one of them was an 8.2 speedy trial one on February 4th, which was an extradition rule 8.3.
Of February 4th. Okay, so the motion to dismiss CR 2022-001242 for lack of speedy trial, I ruled on January 24th.
Okay.
That minute entry was filed January 24th, and then the motion,
That
just seemed to get
was that the motion to dismiss CR 2021 and 001704 and the other for violation of Speedy Trial Act?
correct.
That was ruled on February 25th, so last week.
Okay.
A week ago.
It does look
Anything else from the state?
There you go.
Anything else from the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor, I have one kind of housekeeping matter.
I'll never forget, you guys know Blackletter. Most of you guys will know Blackletter. I'll never forget when we were covering Murdoch and she didn't know what it was. And like, I don't know, it was maybe halfway through the trial. And she was like, she finally noticed it for the first time. And she was like, why are they eating an ice cream cone? And we were all dying laughing. Like, so from now on, I always think of it as an ice cream cone. Shout out to Blackletter. As in the video, if you mean the video, I covered that earlier, and I'm still working on putting together another version with the audio enhanced courtesy of DB, with subtitles and stuff, if that's what you mean. You know, I think that they probably get used to it. I mean, you know, what you could always go to your local like sex store thing or whatever. By the way, when I lived in Boone, the place that was like the sexy time store there was called Night Secrets. And it was just the funniest. We just always laughed at just Night Secrets. But I was just thinking like, now I'm like actually wanting to try it. See, this is just squirrel life, right? I'm like, well, fuck, I don't have any handcuffs. Like now I kind of want to try it. So I guess I'm giving advice to you guys and myself. Like you just get yourself a pair of handcuffs and then just see how it goes. See what it's like. See what it's like to go about your daily life with handcuffs on. Yeah, Boone is in Daniel Boone is what it's named after, the town of Boone.
That I wanted to ask you about. I know that MCSO has some security restraints, the things that I have to wear during trial. And
I meant to
I wanted to ask about that as far as, am I going to be able to stand at the podium to talk to witnesses, to question my witnesses and to cross-examine, or am
Here you
I going to be able to move about with the leg thing and the shock
Like-
vest and all that?
Leg thing in the shock vest. Here you go. Remember earlier when I said that they talk about this? Here it is. Here it is.
Is that I have to wear during trial? And
I meant to.
I wanted to ask about that as far as, am I going to be able to stand at the podium to talk to witnesses, to question my witnesses and to cross-examine, or am I going to be able to move about with the leg thing and the shock vest and all that?
You're going to stick to your table and you can go to the podium. Okay. When you're giving your opening statement and closing argument, you'll stay by the podium.
Okay.
And if you need to hand a witness an exhibit, your advisory council will do that.
Or my paralegal can do
Or
that too?
well, is your paralegal going to be present here designated as your, I guess they can be present. I prefer advisory council to be the one that approaches witnesses if you need to hand an exhibit or something like that.
Okay, so I'm going to be standing there. And if she's sitting here, she's going to come get something from me and go walk it over to the witness and then come back?
Correct.
Just the logistics of it? Just
Yeah,
the-
and there'll be a table or a cart here that'll have all the exhibits on it within reach of the podium. So
Okay.
anything else?
Your Honor, do you use case lines for exhibits?
No.
Thank you.
I think they're still working out the bugs on that. So
Do we need to have our exhibits in place?
So the paralegal is because they'd be provided anyway, right? For the defense team. It's whoever was already there. So did she actually kill people or trick someone? So again, I think that the people that she's not been charged with, I think probably actually killed via poisoning. That's my personal opinion based on the information that is known. And that would be again like her two sisters, potentially her brother, and like Joe Ryan. But as far as the people she's been charged with, she was not actually the person to kill them physically. It would be more like the tricking people thing. Oh my God. My friend's son found cuffs in her nightstand while she was out of town and he had a birthday party. They cuffed someone to the railing. Oh my God. That is hilarious. That is so funny. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in the stream. Lorelai and Stacy, I think is their names. That is a really funny story. Shackle her to the table like a leash. Totally. I'm like, yeah, here, I vote for that. Can you imagine if she had a leash and then she had to walk around and go, oh my God, dude. Okay, so we're at a crossroads. We got two options here, guys. I'll let y'all choose. We can proceed watching the body cam with Charles, and they're not long at all. And then we can also watch, again, Lori's interrogation after Charles is dead. There's also footage from her after the first incident where he goes and talks, but I have to keep looking. That's harder to find, and I didn't have it saved somewhere, so I can go looking for that. But the interview with law enforcement right after the murder of Charles. So we can watch those. I know Flash said he has to go. Or we can segue into our next episode of Murdoch, which I'll just let you know before you guys vote. Here's what's coming up next for Murdoch. We're going to pick up with Rogan Gibson, aka Paul's best friend, which is the Snapchat video. And between him and the next witness, which is Will Loving, the defense double opens the door on themselves in a major way. It's like day 5 of trial. And it's like everything's just gone to hell in a handbasket in a major way, but like in an awesome way. And then they have the whole 404B analysis and they start the trial within a trial. So we can either continue with, like I said, like those, the body cam and the interviews here, or I have the stream set up ready to go. I just have to make it public and then I can redirect you guys into that. Let me know what you guys, okay. Interview with law enforcement. I figure we should watch the body cam first because it happened first. So, but I think I get what you're saying this. Okay. Because again, it sets the, chronologically, you know, and also so people, not everybody has seen it, right? It's lesser known and Charles is lesser known. And the thing about Charles is Charles was a really, really, really good dude. And it's really sad. And to see how he was the victim in this case and tried to get help and wasn't given help. I think it's important, which is why I think it makes sense to watch that first, and then to see him fearful of his life, and then to see what happens after he's killed. You know. So good night, Flash. Good night. Okay, so so y'all can let me know if you want to. I think we will carry on with this. So interesting. People being cuffed. Okay. I'm proud to say I've not had that experience. Okay. So now what we will do is, let me pull it up here. I think this is the first one for Charles. So let me share this to you guys. Okay.
He doesn't know. All right, is it this house or the one with the flashing light? Right there. On the side of the road. Oh, where those palm trees are? And I can try the key code on the garage. I don't know if they changed it or not. I think I made a code. We just need to get on the post. And Gabe, Bonilla here, lives right down the corner. He will tell you if he's on the phone with her together with me. I patched it in and she said all that stuff. Does she have any weapons inside the house? She does? I don't know if she does have any.
Okay. So I know it's hard to hear. Closed captioning is not available. So it will get easier to hear, but I'm going to see if I can try to break down what I think they're saying. So what I'll do is I'll try to pause it.
Gabe, Bonilla here, lives right down the corner. He will tell you if he's on the phone with her together with me. I patched it in and she said all this stuff.
I texted them and she said all this stuff. Does she have any weapons?
She does? I don't know if she does.
Now remember, Charles was like almost a pro baseball player or whatever. Like he was like semi-pro or something like that. There's no sound. I didn't do that. They might have been giving an address or something. Okay. So as you guys can see, this is January 31st, 2019. So he's putting in the code, trying to get into the house. He's been locked out.
Usually have to add star or pound or something, not just enter. I've never done it. You have an alarm system? No. Oh, they changed it.
Michelle, you know, he just sucked him right in. I don't know where my kids are. It's crazy, right? It's just like with Wendy. It's like this thing that people do, right? They take the kids and then they don't tell when they've got a dad that like is a good dad that cares. It's like to punish them. It's like they take the kids and they like he's like just said, I don't know where my kids are. And I'm just like, wow, this is just so reminiscent of Wendy Adelson, right? When she took everything and left the house with the kids and didn't tell Dan and he didn't know where they were. Crazy, crazy. And Lori and Wendy, right?
All gone. Is there anything in place in here, like she might have taken off somewhere? All 4 cars are gone. Oh, yeah, 4 cars. Yeah. My daughter has one, Zach, our nephew has one, I have my truck, and she has Infinity. I don't know where my son is. Well, it's your house, you have the right to force entry, so. Who's the oldest child? Tyler, she's, well, about 3 in college, so they're gone.
Who lives here?
Tyler is 16, Isaac is 19, he's our nephew, he's living here.
And
So let me go to the other video because this one is just blurred out. And I think it's the other one where he gets into this one. Okay, yeah, this is the one I was looking for where he says she's lost her mind. Let me share this one instead. Here we go. All right. And there we go. So this is the car pulling up. Okay. This is the one I was looking for with Charles. Okay. So this is from, again, January 31st. So this is the same day.
Why don't you come over here?
Same day. Oh my God.
So what's going on tonight?
I can't get in touch with my kids,
How old are your kids?
6.5 and 16, okay?
How long have you been trying?
2 days,
Okay.
but she's lost her mind.
This is so sad.
I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God, and remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year. She took all the money out of her bank account today. My truck is gone from the airport. She went to the airport and got it. I just flew in from Dallas. Houston and Dallas. So,
So where's your truck?
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a friend of mine's truck that picked me up. I went to the CSI to file a report, which is the community bridges or something. File a report.
So
And
you
they
did
ordered-
you did the petition?
Yeah, they ordered a pickup
Okay. What time did you do that?
an hour and a half ago.
Okay. So what makes her a danger to herself and to
She's
others?
threatened me, murder me, kill me.
She threatened to murder you?
Yes. And she said,
How did she do that?
Exactly why I wanted to watch this, because Twiz says, who's this guy? This is Charles Vallow. This is Charles Vallow talking to law enforcement saying that Lori, I'm going to back it up, is threatened to murder him and all this shit, right? And they didn't take it seriously. And guess what? He ended up murdered. This is why I wanted to watch it literally right here, because this is what I was saying. It's unfortunate that most people don't know who he is. This is the trial that we're here for in Arizona.
My bishop just got it. I just flew in from Houston, from Dallas.
Or is this a joke? I don't even know what it is. Twiz, what? He's dead? What? This is Charles Vallow. This is who, what is happening? What is happening? Is this a joke? This is the first person remember, of the people she's been charged with, this was the first person that was killed. It was him. Then it was Tylee. Then it was JJ. Then it was Tammy. I want to say. But Charles was first. And remember, the brother was there and apparently pulled the trigger, but the brother also wound up dead. Alex Cox, Lori's brother.
Dallas. Houston and Dallas. So,
So where's your truck?
I don't know.
So
There's
this
a
is
friend of mine's
Lori,
truck that picked
or
me up. I went
Tylee.
to the CSI to file a report, which is the community bridges or something. File a report.
So
And
you
they
did
ordered-
you did the petition?
Yeah, they ordered a pickup
Okay. What time did you do that?
an hour and a half ago.
Okay. So what makes her a danger to
And
her?
literally, and this is not long, literally right after this, we're going to watch Lori's interrogation right after the homicide. Right after he was shot and killed, they brought her in. Okay. So that's what we're going to watch after this. That's why I wanted to watch this first, where you can see him expressing that he's afraid she's going to murder him and all that. And them not, and then next thing we know, he's dead. And then here's Lori,
Herself and to
She's
others.
threatened me, murder me, kill me.
She threatened to murder you?
Yes. And she said,
How did she do that?
My bishop right there is in the car. He was on the phone with me today when she said, I will have you destroyed. Is what she said there.
Okay, that's not a threat to kill you.
Yesterday was a threat to kill me. Today,
Okay.
of course,
What
a threat to
did
murder.
she say yesterday?
She said, you're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Says I'm gonna kill you too. Yesterday was I'm
So
gonna
she's
kill.
speaking as a spiritual being.
She's not here. She
Okay.
lost her reality.
Is this just all recent or?
That's
has
why
been going on?
That's why this is so sad, because you're going to hear him tell these things, and you can see part of the reason they're discounting it is it's like, oh, she's speaking as a spiritual being. It's just so fucking sad because all of this ended up happening.
Been going on for about 4 or 5 years. It's gotten really, really bad lately. She goes to the temple every day and speaks with Moroni and Jesus Christ, and they tell her what to do. And now she came to her today, and last couple of days she says, "I'm not Charles. You're not Charles. You're Nick Schneider." I don't know where she gets his names from. She got all this stuff from these people in Utah who tell her how many past lives she's had and probation she's had. And she's was married to Moroni way back when, and she was also married to James the Just. And
Okay, this is all foreign to me. So,
it's hard to me.
well, I'm not
It's
LDS.
crazy. It's crazy stuff.
I know you're using
Yes.
LDS terms here.
I know. But it's just
Okay.
she's nonsensical.
Okay.
And I haven't seen my.
Is he the older one or the younger one?
Young. He's 6.5 years old.
Okay,
I want to do this now. You've got a pickup order. Am I correct?
we do.
If she doesn't answer,
Hmm.
what do we do?
If she
Can
doesn't
I break
answer, we
into my
can't
house?
we can't enforce the order.
Can I break into my house?
Do you live here?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My lease. I
Do
pay
you,
the lease.
do you guys have any orders of protections against you?
No, we do not.
So,
I'm gonna
no,
go
no
on
police
her
reports.
tomorrow. No, nothing.
Okay. So, how does she pose a threat to your children?
I don't know what she's going to do with them. I don't know if she's going to flee with them. She's going to hurt them.
You don't
Today-
even know if she's here, right?
Today on the phone. I can't. All the cars are. The garage is closed. I don't know. She locked the garage door.
I
haven't
know.
been up there yet.
I know,
She
but what
said-
I'm hold on.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is, do you normally park two vehicles in the garage, inside the garage?
Correct.
Okay. So it's a possibility that her car and your truck are inside there?
I don't think she could fit my truck in her car at the same time. She may put them somewhere else. She said to me, "All your stuff is gone. Charles'
Okay.
stuff is gone. You're
Okay.
not Charles. Your stuff is gone." I don't know what that
And
means.
how long have you been trying to get in touch with the kids?
Since yesterday.
Since yesterday? Like last night or yesterday morning? Or?
But landed in Houston Tuesday about 10.
Okay. Why did you leave?
There's a trip in Houston.
Okay. And when did you leave?
Tuesday morning about 5 a.m.
Okay. Tuesday. All right. Wow. It's
Wednesday night.
so you left yesterday.
Yeah.
You left yesterday morning.
Mhm.
Flew to Houston. Flew back today.
Tonight.
Tonight.
She canceled my flight. She came to the airport, took my truck.
Did she tell you that?
No, she knows the code. She knows where it's parked. She went.
Did she go with you to the airport?
No, but I go to the airport. I fly 45 round trips a year. She
Okay.
knows where I park. I've got handicap plates because JJ's handicapped.
Uh-huh.
So,
Did you file a stolen
no,
vehicle
I didn't,
report
but
with
I
Vinnie?
know she took it.
How do you know? You
But
suspect.
I suspect. Okay.
Okay.
I suspect.
All right.
I know your term. So,
Okay.
yeah. But I
Without
just-
concrete evidence, we can't
okay,
say
I
for sure.
suspect.
Okay.
And she has the keys, the code. It's a Ford, the door code.
Door code.
And I just want to see my boys okay. And she's got a pickup order. I need to go. She needs to go, and I'm gonna take my stuff.
So you normally live here?
Yeah, oh yeah, I live here.
Okay.
Yeah, all my stuff's in my house.
Okay.
We got a service dog in there, beautiful dog. My daughter's in the front window right there
So let me ask you this: when you came back, why didn't you just go to the home?
because she told me not to come near it. All my stuff is gone.
Okay.
I'm not stupid. She could have done anything.
Okay.
I thought this would be the best way to do it with what she's
JJ
gone through,
had
what
autism,
Dave witnessed
severe
with me on
severe
the phone
autism.
today.
He was
I
born
thought
with
it was best to have her.
a couple
She's psychologically,
I mean,
she's gone. Something.
So JJ was born. Okay, so JJ technically is the son of Charles's brother. Charles's brother and this is what, I believe this actually has come out in the trial, but this has been said on the record by the Woodcocks. Charles's brother, I think, was and still is an addict and was either married to or had a girlfriend or whatever that was also an addict. So JJ was a drug baby basically and was born addicted to, I think, a lot of drugs like heroin, cocaine, basically. So he was born early, he was premature, and he was born addicted to drugs, and they weren't sure if he was going to survive, but he couldn't stay in the custody of those parents, right? So what happened was, as a baby, he needed a lot of help and a lot of care, and he also had autism, severe autism, and I think some developmental disabilities to a certain extent as well. But so he was he ended up being adopted. Well, so Kay and Larry, which are Charles's parents, they had JJ for a while, and then Charles and Lori adopted him. So technically, while Charles is JJ's uncle, and while Lori is not related to him by blood, they are his parents because they adopted him. And then, of course, Tylee is biologically Lori's daughter, but her dad is Joe Ryan, one of the husbands who died under suspicious circumstances. Lori has the kids and he doesn't know where they are, any of them. With Bailey, they ended up selling the dog after. So Bailey was a big deal because Bailey was this service dog that was really special. They paid a lot of money for. If I recall, after Charles died and after JJ died, and then JJ's school was like, he's not coming to school. Where is he? And one of the things that they actually got, one of the things that made people get suspicious, like people that knew Lori and knew what Chad, like they're friends within LDS and stuff. One of the things that made them think something was weird was when they learned that they had sold Bailey, because they knew that there's no way JJ would live without that dog. And so that was a big red flag for people when they testified about it and like were interviewed, that like they knew something was really up when Bailey was either sold or given away or whatever, because JJ couldn't go anywhere without Bailey because Bailey was his service dog. So yeah, I don't know. I don't remember where Lori and the kids are, but she's with them. I don't remember where they are. They might be in Idaho. But anyway, yeah.
My stuff is gone.
Okay.
I'm not.
Let me know if you guys have any other questions.
She could have done anything.
Okay.
I thought this would be the best way to do it with what she's gone through and what Gabe witnessed with me on the phone today. I thought it was best to have her. She's psychologically, she's gone. Something's happened to her.
How old is she?
45.
45.
Beautiful woman,
So if we talk to her, is she going to be able to have a rational conversation with us?
Oh, she will. I'm sure she will.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just. you
She'll
never know
probably
what she
tell
will.
me I'm crazy, huh? Is that what you suspect?
Probably. But
Okay.
you're a dark spirit. That's what she's going to tell you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a dark spirit. Gabe's going to be, he's our bishop. He's going to be a dark spirit. Whatever that means. Okay, you're evil.
And you said this has been going on for like 4 years?
Well, it's to an extent, but it's gotten really bad the last several months. And I've been trying to ignore it because hoping it'll get better.
Is she on any
Most people-
medications?
No, she won't do medications.
Okay. Has she been to a doctor?
She won't go to the doctor because she's a translated being, and they would find out she's translated. She cannot be killed. She cannot die.
And that's what she thinks?
Yes.
Okay.
She
And
said
she's
that.
been telling you that?
Yes, and Gabe too.
Okay.
He heard this, not just me. This is it coming. I love her to death. This is killing the officer.
Oh, I can understand.
Our 13th anniversary is next month. We've been at a great marriage. All of a sudden, the last month it just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
She just lost connection.
Okay. So has she made any statements about wanting to hurt the children or anything?
Today, she said with Gabe on the phone, come take the kids. I don't care what happens to them. Come take them.
Okay, but she didn't make a direct threat towards the kids.
No, not a direct threat.
Okay. And then she said that she would murder you through a spiritual.
No, she said, I can murder you.
I can murder you.
if-
And she's talking in a
I will
spirit.
kill you.
Spiritual.
No, she's talking physically. I will kill you because you're not Charles, and nobody will care.
Okay. So she at this point doesn't think you are her husband?
She thinks I'm
So
Nick Schneider.
Mhm.
yeah, Ned Schneider is one of the names. So my take on this whole thing with the zombies and the light and dark scale, my take on this is that Chad and Lori used this as a way to justify killing people that were in the way of them being together. And it was a way that, the thing is like the people that sort of followed them and their sort of like branch off culty thing, if you can even call it that. There weren't really enough people following them for it to really be considered a cult, but like that was what they wanted. They wanted the 144,000. But like the people who were in their little circle or whatever, they actually believed in this bullshit, right? With like the translated beings and the zombies. And people who are LDS will say, this is not LDS. This is fringe. This is not what is taught. This was their own thing that they made up, completely a thing they made up. So the thing with the zombies and the light and the dark and all that. But the people who were buying into this really believed in this shit. But the thing is like, it's very clear, and it becomes especially clear in their text message conversations, by they, I mean, Lori and Chad, that they don't even buy into this, right? Because there's a lot of texts in there where it's like, I'm mad at you, so now I'm going to say that you're this, now you're dark instead of light. And like, I don't know, it's basically the text messages. It's clear that they are acknowledging that even they don't believe this, but they're using it as a way to manipulate even each other. But like, I'm gonna tell Maroney on you, or whatever it is. I'm paraphrasing, but it's shit like this where it's like, what is the one of them? One of them is like, fuck. It's like, I'm gonna, like, in other words, it's like, you're gonna be punished through some weird ass spiritual thing that they made up, right? And unless you say you know, I forget, send me a kissy face or shit like that. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, they would get in like a fight the way teenagers would. And then it's like, the punishment is like, well, fine, I'm going to tell Jesus on you. I mean, it's just wild. So, so they didn't really believe it. Right. And that wasn't really clear until the text messages came out, which we first learned of those, the contents of those during Lori's trial. Those text messages made it clear that, because up until then, I think you could have been like, well, they bought it. They believed this shit. They were crazy. Doesn't mean they're not culpable, right? But in terms of the psychology, those text messages made it very clear what they were all about. What they were all about was doing it to each other. And so the thing is that they actually were convincing enough that other people bought into their crazy ideas and thought it was real. Some of those people testified at the trials, right? And it's really fucking sad because they didn't even believe it. And it makes you wonder. I mean, with cult leaders in general, I bet that's probably oftentimes the case where they don't believe their own bullshit, but there's a bunch of other people that believe it, right? So anyway, I just wanted to say that as far as him, when he mentions that she's saying you're not Charles, you're Nev Schneider. There's another name, I forget what it is, that she had for him. He might mention it as well. Shit like that. Just keep in mind that I understand why he's like, yeah, she's crazy, she's off the deep end. But like, you also heard him in the same breath say, oh yeah, she'll sit down and have a normal conversation with you 100%. He basically was saying, yeah, she'll manipulate the fuck out of you, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, obviously she's crazy, but she's not crazy as in she knows what she's saying. She's saying it to manipulate you, right? You know, it's that type of crazy. And that's really kind of the difference to me, right? It's like to serve a purpose for something self-serving. If that makes sense.
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's the name she used. I don't know where it came from.
The portal.
Yeah,
and did you guys? Hopefully, did you guys see the thumbnail? So the thumbnail, there's a portal behind Lori in the thumbnail. Y'all should take a look if you didn't see it, because I had a lot of fun making that. And of course, the Squangwin is reading Visions of Glory. So she's got the portal behind her, and it's a portal in like a closet door, you know, because obviously, it's a portal to a closet door, and then the Squangwin has the Visions of Glory. Also, the colors and the font and stuff, right? I always pick stuff like that on purpose. I tried to make it look Lori themed, right? And so hopefully you guys see what I mean by like it has a Lori vibe, you know.
This is so foreign to me. Normal people, as far as I'm concerned, but you know, this happens. It just drives me. I don't know what to do. I need help, and she needs help. She needs help, and I go to bed. I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I got to take my son.
And you just didn't want to go inside because of the statements that she made?
She took my car and my. I suspect she took my car and my keys. I have no keys to get in.
Oh, okay.
No garage door opener.
Okay.
She knows what she's doing. She took $35,000 out of our bank account today. I can't make payroll Friday. It's my company. It's just she changed our bank account numbers. I had to change it myself to get back in, and I saw all the money's gone. I've got $7 in my name.
So, what's your first name again? Charles. Charles lives here with his wife and 2 children. Charles was away on
There's a
business.
third nephew upstairs. His name is Zach. He's 19. He's our nephew. He can stay with us.
Have you tried to call him?
He won't call me back either.
Why won't he call you back?
No.
Okay.
That's what I'm worried about. I hope they're okay, but I don't know.
It's valid.
All right.
Fox. That makes
So,
sense.
His question
I didn't
is,
think of that.
he lives here, there's no orders
Oh
against
my
him.
God, that makes perfect sense. I didn't even think of that. It's funny because to me it stuck out because I'm like, yeah, it is a weird term that you don't usually hear them say when talking about days that they can't be available. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, so thank you. Yeah, of course. That is hilarious. Thank
Either
you.
one of them, if we can't make contact.
If you want to let us in, now we're doing a 670 check.
I don't know how to get in. I can have to
Correct.
break the window. I can try to.
Where I was going with this, he was in Houston on a business trip, and then he flies back in to Sky Harbor, and his truck's gone. He suspects that she went there and took the truck. He doesn't know.
Use my wallet in it, so
Right. So, all right. Is this house or the one with the flashing lights?
right there.
On the side of the road.
Oh, where those palm trees are?
And I can try the key code on the garage. I don't know if they changed it or not. I think I know the code. We just moved it January 1st. And Gabe Bonilla here lives right down the corner. He will tell you if you were on the phone with her today with me.
Okay,
I
so
texted
now,
in and she said all this.
so this is about what we saw before. Let me jump ahead a little bit and see here.
Living here.
Okay. So it's not hidden.
JJ can open it. We have to push locks really.
So there's still, so that was the biggest part though that we just heard about his statements about Lori. So now it is time. Hold on, let me just unshare reshare. Now we're gonna watch Lori. So here we go. Get ready, guys.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Margaret's using the other one, so you'll be, Brendan's gonna monitor for him.
Okay, so just one out there.
So as you can see, they have her in what they call like the soft room, like usually where they will have children. Tylee is in another room that looks pretty much identical and is also being interviewed, and her interview is also available.
This way,
Okay.
if there's anything, but if,
Perfect.
that's fine.
Okay.
So let me just point out real quick, so again, this is Chandler Police Department. So this is July 11th, 2019. This is the same day. This is just hours after Charles was shot. Remember, those videos we just saw of Charles was January of this year. So this is 6 months or less than 6 months later. And he's now dead.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. You know what? It's such a struggle. You go back to school, I try to talk to the teachers, but in high school, they don't care. They're like, you're not here to do the work, or don't. Like, they don't care.
Well, and I think with high school, it's like, they're just pumping.
But when she was in elementary and junior high, all the teachers worked with her. They were nice about it. But by high school, there's so many kids that just don't care. And I was like, just take it. You're so smart. Let's just take it, see if you pass it. She passed it.
And got a really good score.
Yeah, she passed it with like college ready
It's not
in every category. The first
not
time.
insane.
Well, and now she can do what she wants. So
Exactly.
she's better off that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know Laura's your first name, right? Lauri.
Lori.
Okay. And then what's your last name?
Vallow. Vallow.
You know what else?
And your
is
date
funny?
of birth?
You know what else is funny? And I don't think I even noticed this until now. Both her and Wendy spell their names with a freaking I at the end. You know what? Tip. Speaking of justice tip for you guys. Stay away from women who spell their names with just an I at the end. For real.
And your phone number.
I know, right? And they're redacting that.
And you live at the house, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I know this sounds silly, but it's probably the easiest way to start, is just to tell me what happened. And then, so you can start what makes the most sense to you, and we'll just work our way through it. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions just to kind of clarify.
Sure.
So I know you talked to the initial patrol officer. And
And he just got information. He
Oh,
didn't say
okay.
anything.
So yeah, if you can just kind of tell me kind of what happened. It sounds like some of this may have started last night or something along those lines. So
Right.
start where you think it makes the most sense.
Okay.
And
So,
so I will just say we're going to get into a whole bunch of victim blaming and things that are completely not true, where she's going to make it seem like Charles was violent and aggressive. Let's keep in mind, even Wendy didn't go that far. Even Wendy didn't go that far. She kind of mentioned Dan being abusive, and then she did clarify and said not physically, verbally, which again, this is coming from Wendy. This is completely different. Lori, dude, and it's disgusting. Charles would never have hurt a fly. Everybody that knew him said that. This is sick. This is setting it up to where she can give this whole story of self-defense. And you know what? Again, so ever so convenient, right? The person who, everybody who was there that day is dead, right? Charles, Alex, JJ, and Tylee. Alex being the brother. All of them are dead. The only other person who was there was her, and she's the one who's alive. So
I told you, it's a crazy question.
well,
okay,
so
so
we
we need to back that up to get her reaction here, because the question is like, dude, this is insanity.
Something along those lines.
Right.
So start where you think it makes the most sense.
Okay. So, I
told you, it's a crazy question.
Well, so we moved into this house 3 weeks ago because he offered to get me a house here where all my family is. So we
Okay.
were in Houston. And so he's like, we had decided to separate or whatever. So he's like, well, I'll pay for a house for you and for JJ and whatever, because he's all about JJ. He's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. Because we adopted him together. He's his great nephew. We adopted him as a baby.
Okay.
And so we adopted him as a baby, and so we've been raising him together. And he travels all the time for business, so he's used to just going back and forth. So he's always gone like Monday through Friday. So he came when we first moved in and brought me stuff from Houston, like a U-Haul, and then he hasn't been back. But it's all these threats on my phone all the time, you know, like whatever, all these things. And then
Okay, so you're asked, right? So Charles' body cam. Charles's body cam was in January of 2019. This is in July. This is the same day. This is just hours after the murder. So he, like basically less than 6 months. Less than 6 months after the body cams that we watched, he was dead, and we were watching this.
he told me,
What kind of threats?
just you'd have to read them to me, but he's always mad at me, right?
Okay.
And he doesn't want a divorce, but I don't like him and don't want to deal with him, so that's just how it is. Like, so we married for 14 years, we dealt with it for 14 years, and him being horrible to her. Like, he gets in huge fights with her, a lot of things. But anyway, so he said, I'm coming Wednesday night, all of a sudden. I want to see JJ. And I told him, I said, I will never keep JJ from you. You can come see him whenever you want to, come take him to school, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that.
So when you initially moved, he had said he was going to buy you a house. So you moved here with your
Yeah, he was going to rent us a house.
And so you moved.
All my family lives here. So we lived here for a long time.
Okay.
And then he moved us to Houston.
Okay.
And we were there with my son. He was out of school. He didn't have any of his like services, his DDD, his anything. He like ripped him out of school and said, we're moving.
Okay.
And I didn't go with him at first. And he took him. And I let him take him. And I didn't file anything or whatever. And then he filed something against me and said, I'm only going to get supervised visits because I'm crazy and blah, 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 you know, the story. And so I just didn't talk to him for like 30 days and let him take care of him and let him see what I've been doing for the past 7 years, because men need to do that. You know, I have 5 kids. I have grown kids. I have grandkids. Like, okay, you're going to threaten me that you're not going to let me see my child without supervised visitation? Okay, do it for 30 days and see how long it lasts. You're begging me to come pick him up.
Yeah.
But she did.
So remember, the question that was asked of her is just tell me what happened. Like, in the death, right? The death. Okay.
It's just like, come back and whatever. So I moved in with them to Houston for the family, you know, and Tylee went with me. We drove to Houston from here and left all our family and all his support.
What is the point of this exposition? She's setting up the self-defense thing. And how does she do that? She needs to be like the marriage problems. And she's setting, the thing is like, if somebody really just killed somebody in self-defense, what happened? They came at me and attacked me and started to kill me. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't have to tell you guys, right? Like, this is crazy. This is just, I'm not saying she's crazy, right? I'm saying this is red flags all over the place.
Son support, like his cousins, everything. And we were there, and I enrolled him in school there. I tried to start all his services, and it takes forever.
Yeah.
It takes so long to get that done.
There's no easy transferring.
There's no easy transfer.
You start from the beginning.
It's a totally new thing. Yeah. And he didn't do any of it in those 30 days. So he just had gone without services, without even applying. And I'm like, do you even realize? Because he didn't ever do it in the first place. I did it. Long story. I'll keep it short. He hasn't been here in a couple weeks since we moved in. Okay. He came. He was very nasty when he was there, but he travels for business. So he went back to the Houston house. Okay. And he's like, I'm coming on Wednesday night, and I'm going to come pick up JJ and take him to school Thursday. Pick him up Thursday, take him Friday, whatever. And I said, Casey wanted to come to the house. And I said, you can't come stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee. She's a minor. She has to live here. Yeah. So because he gets in huge fights up there. And she hates it.
This is just not true about Tylee. But also, it's so interesting, right? What are we hearing? Similarities with the Eagleson case, right? The whole thing about the picking up of the kids. And Rochelle, you pointed out so astutely that even though he's like got, in the body cam we just watched, she's drained his bank account. He doesn't know where the kids are. He doesn't know where the car is. He has $7 to his name. And what is he concerned about? Taking JJ to school the next day. Same, we just heard it again here. He was supposed to take the kids to school. It's so interesting, right? These cases where there's these custody battles and people end up fucking dead. I swear, even in the Shannon Gardner case, right? It was something about, it was the exchanging of custody with the kids. It's crazy.
And so like, you can't stay at the house, so I will book you a hotel because he stays in hotels all the time because he travels for business and the business pays for it, right? So I said, I will book you a hotel nearby.
What does he do?
He works with teachers and their retirement plans, but he goes to them at their school. He mostly works in California. Okay. No matter where we live. And we lived in Hawaii. He'd work in California. He'd work in Texas. He has like books of business in different areas. And so he just goes wherever. It kind of just gives him freedom that he doesn't have to stay home every day and take care of special needs. Yeah. It's like an excuse, right? So I've done that myself for the last 7 years anyway. And I was a single mom before I married him with my 2 kids. Yeah. And he had 2 kids. We got married, tried to make a family. Yeah. Anyway, so he said he was coming last night. I said, well, you can't stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee, and I'll get you a hotel and you can come play with JJ, but he goes to school.
I want to point out one of her little things she does. Hold on, let me back up.
Mom before I married him with my 2 kids. Yeah. And he had 2 kids. We got married, tried to make a family. Yeah. Anyway.
That one. And anyway, I will say I've gone really deep into this case since it started. There's a lot when you look at cases where there's a lot available, like there's a lot available here, right? Like Chad was a fucking author. There's all these videos of them like at these different LDS conventions or like recordings of them speaking. There's videos on YouTube. There's a video that you can find of Lori singing Hallelujah, like the Jeff Buckley song or whatever, but she like changes the lyrics to make it about Jesus or something. I mean, there's so much, right? Lori was also a game show contestant on was it a game show or was it, I think it was a game show, or maybe it was like a Miss, I don't know, or beauty pageant or something, or maybe it was both. I'm trying to remember, but basically there's like a lot of opportunity to hear her interacting with people and see how she is in different, environments. And there's also, she has a huge family because they're LDS, right? And a lot of the family members have spoken out and given interview, in-depth interviews and stuff. And so what I'm saying is like this whole thing where she says anyway, that's like one of her tics that she does. That's kind of specific to her.
So I've done that myself for the last 7 years anyway. And I was a single mom before I married him with my 2 kids. Yeah. And he had 2 kids. We got married, tried to make a family. Yeah. Anyway.
That one. And she says it in a very specific way.
So he said he was coming last night. I said, well, you can't stay at this house.
Thank you.
I'll get you a hotel. You can come play with JJ, but he goes to school all day. Yeah. I got him back into his school. his services, I met with the DDD yesterday and they finally are getting his services back, but we're paying $125 a day to have him back in
It's
school.
funny because Wendy was also on a game show. I forget which one. That Price is Right, maybe. It's just odd, right? Like how are there that many similarities, even down to the I at the end of the name? I don't know how I haven't pointed that or noticed that yet. And I feel like Heather is going to freak out if she hasn't noticed it either yet, because that is crazy. The I at the end.
Because he's so out of his routine. He's been a nightmare on the floor, kicking stuff, hitting stuff, walls. Like, he just ripped him out of his life.
So now she's villainizing or vilifying JJ. She's vilifying JJ now. She's good. Her strategy apparently at trial is going to be to throw Tylee under the bus.
Yeah. So, anyway, just how he is, because he only thinks about himself. So.
And there it was again. Hold on, let me back it up. There it was again.
His routine, he's been a nightmare on the floor, kicking stuff, hitting stuff, walls. Like, he just ripped him out of his life. Yeah. So, anyway, just how he is, because he only thinks about himself. So. He says, coming to get JJ, and JJ's like, I don't want Dad, because he knows Dad took him away. So he was freaking out, right? So I didn't tell him he was even coming. Like, Dad's going to come take you to school, I think. So he didn't bother me last night, which I was surprised. I was expecting kind of an ambush for him to kind of, like, come over or be just mean. And say, it's my house, I'm on the lease, I'm going to stay here, kind of thing. Because that's kind of his macho attitude. And so he came this morning. I was getting JJ ready.
So he got in last night, but he wasn't at the house last night.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him. Except for he texted me and said, I'll be there at 7:30 to pick up JJ.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that was good. Didn't hear from him. And then he came over in the morning and he's like banging on the door. I'm like, oh great, here we go, you know. And I was just gonna be nice. I'm just gonna be nice as possible. And I had JJ stuff all ready for school. And so,
do you remember about what time he got there?
He said he'd be there at 7:30, but it was more like 7:40ish or 7:35. I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, looking at the clock, and he wasn't there at 7:30, and he's usually Mr. On time. Yes. So I was like, okay. And then JJ was like, oh, Dad. And then he was like, Mommy, and like ran to me and was like holding me. He's like, you're not taking me to school. And I was like, it's okay, Daddy can just drive you to school. It's not a big deal. You know, just trying to make it whatever. Calm. Yeah, calm. And then he was just being real smirky and real like jerky, you know, to me. And I was like ignoring him, whatever. And so he was like,
your brother lives there with you?
No.
Okay.
He had stayed with me last night because I was worried he was going to come over and cause trouble with me.
Okay.
And just wanted someone else there, like my brother there, because I trust my brother. And it's been a long story. Like, I had to go live at my brother's when
this whole thing's weird.
He took JJ. And, you know, he's just been difficult. So, anyway.
Third anyway.
So I got JJ stuff ready. And he was like, well, and he's like this about timing. He's like, I'm leaving in 20 minutes because it's like 15 minutes to the school and like you can't get there early. They don't open the gates until like 8:20 or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just go now? I don't want him in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now? And
he's still answering the one question of, tell me what happened.
Take him to Burger King because that's what he likes for breakfast. And he's very particular about food. Like, he wanted chicken fries for breakfast and a Sprite. Like, and I just get what he wants because if you don't get what he wants, then it's like on the floor screaming, dragging him, and just go like. And he's big and he's heavy and it's hard for me to handle. But anyway, so I said just go, and so he said okay. So I gave him a backpack. He got in the car. This is his MO, right? He always leaves something in the house and comes back. He never leaves the first time. I always expect my husband to come back into the house, right? So I guess he had left his phone on the counter.
So he initially left with the backpack and with JJ?
And so he put them in the car, in the driveway, and then he came back in, right? So I kissed JJ goodbye. He came back in, and his phone was on the counter, and I had his phone. And he was like, give me my phone. And I was like, why don't you show me your text that you've been texting, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Because he's like acting really weird, like he's plotting something against me. Like, I'm like, why are you even here? Like, what did you come here for? You know, he's been talking to my other brother, and my brother came into town at the same time last night. And I haven't talked to my brother in a while, my other brother. And I was like, and so he was texting him on the phone when he first got to my house. And I'm like, why are you texting Adam? Like, do you even talk to him? Like my other brothers. And you know, he's been telling me all these texts like, you're going down, blah, 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 blah. He's blaming me for our marriage breaking up and my niece getting divorced and my friend getting divorced. He said, I'm a destroyer of families because I want everybody to get divorced. I'm like, what would my motivation be for people getting divorced? So I could babysit the kids more? Like,
So the niece is Melanie.
why would I have any control over what people do?
Yeah.
So it's just very odd. But anyway, he goes nuts. He's gone nuts on us a lot of times. Tyler and I have had to leave with JJ over the years.
So listen to that. We have how could I control what other people do or whatever? Ironic, right? But also that's the fourth anyway.
The kids more, like, why would I have any control over what people do?
Yeah.
So it's just very odd. But anyway, he goes nuts. He's gone nuts on us a lot of times. Tyler and I have had to leave with JJ over the years probably 5 times and just stay in a hotel for 2 days because he goes nuts. Like, you don't know what's gonna set him off, like, whatever. And she's mad at me for always, like, going back. But we had JJ and he's special needs and it's really hard. Like, it's even hard to take care of by yourself.
So when you say he goes nuts, that can mean a lot of different things.
Right.
So goes nuts like yelling and screaming.
Yeah,
goes
yelling and
nuts, like,
screaming,
breaking
like,
things.
yes.
Goes nuts like physical violence.
He's never really, besides like grabbing us and pushing us, but not like punching us or something. But with Tylee, he has gotten physical.
Okay.
Before, and with my grown son.
Like physical how?
Like got into a physical fist fight with my son when he was 16.
Okay.
And he came after Tylee 2 times in Hawaii.
Okay.
And like went like he was going to hit her, but then I got in between them.
Uh-huh.
Right.
How old was she when that happened?
Probably 13 and 14.
Okay. So this morning he comes back in and...
He comes back in, I wouldn't give him his phone. He was screaming at me to give him his phone. He was very worried about whatever was on his text that he did not want me to see. And so I was just holding it there and he was screaming at me. And I was kind of walking towards around the house with it so he couldn't get it. He's like reaching for it and stuff like that. And so Tylee came out of her room upset and she had a bat. And she told him to leave her mother alone, like, right? So she was really whatever. And he's screaming at her, don't you hit me with that bat, and blah, 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 blah. And then my brother heard all the commotion because he was in there in bed. And so he came out into the main room and I guess whatever.
What's your brother's name?
Alex.
Alex, okay.
And then he just started, he was screaming and he was super upset and whatever. And he's yelling at Tylee, don't you hit me with that bat, and blah, blah, blah. And so Tylee, I guess, I don't know if she swung at him or what, but he like grabbed the bat from Tylee and then went to like hit Tylee with the bat. It was, and I was right there, and they were right there, and my brother grabbed him from behind, like just to stop him from hitting Tylee.
You go like this, like he grabbed him like...
Yeah, from behind, like just kind of to pull him back. And then they got into the thing and he's hitting him with the bat and they're on the ground like grappling around or whatever. And then I mean it was all
and he
quickly
and he hit your brother with the bat while they were grappling and stuff.
Yes, he was hitting him with the bat, like swinging the bat, you know, back and forth, and they were kind of like on the ground, and I was like freaking out trying to go around, knowing JJ was in the car, right? And so then he got up and he had the bat like this towards me, and I was going around the other side to try to just get out of his range where he couldn't hit me. And then I had told Tylee, because she was on the ground, because after he took the bat from her, she fell back. And so I told her, I was like, go get in the car with JJ. Like, I don't want JJ coming into the house, or, and I wanted her out of the way. I wanted the kids out of the way of whatever this fight was going to be. And then,
do you remember what your husband or your brother were saying or yelling during all of this? If they were at all?
Just kind of get off me, out, or whatever, you know, whatever. They were like, don't talk to my niece about it, whatever. Like, it was, I don't remember specifics, but they were kind of both, they were kind of in the heat of it. I don't think there was many words that I remember.
So Tylee goes outside.
Yeah, she was outside.
And then what happened?
Then they got up from that, and my brother had like stepped back, I guess, and then Charles was coming with me at the back, yelling at me to give him his phone still, because I had it in my hand. It was all really quickly. And then when I went around kind of in the circle, then my brother was there.
When you said when you were going around and he was coming at you with the bat, how was he holding the bat?
Just like that, like backwards.
Like he was swinging, but like swinging it backwards. You would have done like
he would have swung it backwards at me, not frontward.
Okay, yeah.
He was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good idea for Charlie to get out of the house.
Probably not the.
I mean, he played semi-pro when he was young. But yeah, and then I was kind of turned around. And we were all right there in that room, except for the kids had been outside by that time, and I heard the gunshot. And
so you heard the shot? Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if he went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm like a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't see the shot. I heard it, and then I came back around and I saw that he was on the ground.
Okay.
And I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And so I was just freaking out, and it just went into mama. I'm like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I've got to get to the kids. I just felt like I got to get to the kids. And so I just went outside and to see if they were in there. Okay, I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on. And got JJ in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tylee was like looking at me with like the crazy eyes, like what just happened. And I told her to get in the car and we're going to take JJ to school. And I just left.
When you came back in and you saw him on the ground, where was your brother? Did you see him where he was at?
Yeah, he was right in front of him.
Okay.
Like it all happened very quickly. That was, I mean, I feel like I was there because I was right there, and like a second later, like I just went around.
What about this part, right? She says she heard the shot, and then she's like, "Come on, we're gonna take JJ to school. Get in the car."
Got JJ in the car, and he was trying to come. I just went outside and to see if they were in there. Okay, I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on, and got JJ in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tylee was like looking at me with like the crazy eyes, like what just happened. And I told her to get in the car and we're going to take JJ to school. And
it's a normal day.
When you came back in and you saw him on the ground, where was your brother? Did you see him where he was at?
Yeah, he was right in front of him.
Okay.
Like it all happened very quickly. That was, I mean,
You didn't call 911.
I feel like I was there because I was right there, and like a second later, like I just went around the kitchen to get away from him.
Did your brother say anything to you at all? Do you remember?
No, we were both just in shock.
Okay.
Like it was just I didn't say anything. I went out with the kids just to check on them first, and I was gonna come back in maybe, but I didn't. I was like, I just have to get him to school and call the police, come back, whatever.
Did anybody say did you or your brother say anything at some point about calling the police or calling 911? Do you remember?
Yeah, he called me.
Okay.
And he said, "Are you taking JJ to school?" And I said, "Yeah, we need to call the police." And he said, "Okay."
Okay. So he called you when you didn't come back inside, basically?
Right.
Okay.
Because I was like in the car for a minute, and then I was like, what do I do? And I didn't want JJ to go inside, and I didn't know what to do, and Tylee was freaking out. I was trying to get them away from the scene.
Understandable.
I just wanted to correct something. So 5 total husbands. So I originally had said in the chat that I thought that Charles was number 5 and Chad was number 6. It's actually Charles was number 4 and Chad was number 5.
And you may not know this, so, because I know you heard the shot. Do you know at what point your brother had the gun? Do you know if he had it when they got in their first fight, or did he have to go get it?
Again, speaking about the timing of and the suspiciousness of Alex Cox's death was, it wasn't until after all the murders were complete, right? Because it seems like from everything that has come out, right, in these trials, that Alex potentially was the person who actually killed Tylee and JJ, and that Chad was the one who killed Tammy, but Alex was like involved. And then of course Lori was not. She was in a different state or whatever when that happened. Alibi. But yeah, once his job was complete, Alex's job was complete, then he, are they all dead? Not all of them. The first 2 are alive, and Chad's alive. So the 2 that are dead are Charles and Joe Ryan. Right, Colby's alive. Yeah, Colby's alive. And Colby was different father. I forget the dad's name. The husband before Joe Ryan is Colby's dad. And then Tylee's dad was Joe Ryan. Yeah, and it's good because we're kind of going through a lot of these details, as we go along, and it'll be good. We'll be ready to go for her trial. And the thing is like, as it pertains to Charles, a lot of the stuff will come in at this trial. Like I was saying before in the chat, like how when it came to the trials in Idaho, only so much was allowed to come in as it pertains to what happened with Charles, right? Because obviously that's a different case, and that, they can't, she hadn't been tried for that. And, so I don't even remember if the jury was allowed to hear that I know they heard he died, I guess, but they just didn't know how. But yeah, that was very limited, in other words, since that was not the case at hand there.
Or do you know that at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And do you remember if you ever heard your brother?
I didn't see him ever leave the room.
Okay.
So it was so fast. All that was so fast. Like, I'm on the ground rolling around and I'm screaming, and
this probably happened in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it was like super fast.
And I don't know if you know this or not. Does your brother normally carry a gun? Like, I carry a gun everywhere I go.
Right. Like, I know he's a gun.
Chad got the death penalty, and I covered his the documents that came out after his conviction regarding the death penalty. I covered those. And I think I have a playlist for that. But yeah, he did have the death penalty, of course. And as we know, Lori was, that was on the table for her as well. But then, as we know, Judge Boyce set precedent for the state of Idaho for being the first time where a motion to preclude the death penalty was granted. And that was because of those the disclosure violations less than a month before trial. Again, a distinction, right, between that and with BK, that being the timeliness of it, which I talked about at length when I covered the for BK for their motion to preclude the death penalty. I talked about that at length with the comparison to Lori, because that was brought up in the document as well.
A person, like, he has guns and things.
Okay.
He's showed up guns.
Did you know that he had one with him?
No.
When he came over?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
It may not be the firing squad. We don't know yet, right? Because it's going to be years and years and years and years and years from now. Who knows? By then, they might be able to have access to the chemicals for lethal injection, right? And if memory serves, I think they have 3 means of execution in Idaho. Let me double check, because I feel like there's a third way. Let me look it up.
He's very.
Actually, now I'm thinking. I think they've got the lethal injection. Then there's also some other chemical one, I think, and then the firing squad. I'll double check.
Professional with guns.
Proficient, professional. Responsible is usually a good.
Right. Responsible with guns.
And then, do you remember if at any time, so you were trying to get away from him,
right,
and you heard the shot. Prior to the shot, do you remember at any point hearing your husband or your brother saying anything to either of them?
No.
So my second very ridiculous question is there anything else that...
So it does say that the firing squad will be the primary execution method in Idaho to go into effect as of July 1st, 2026.
I didn't ask about or anything that we didn't cover that you think is important. I always ask that just because I wasn't there, and so we're going through something that happened a super small amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, as of July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Just that. He was just so angry, like super scary.
Did
You
you?
know how you take your phone away from like a 16-year-old and
Uh-huh.
they freak out? Like their world disintegrates. Like I've taken my phone away from a 16-year-old boy before, and he's like wanted to kill himself because like they kidnapped him. That's how it was. It was like if something on his phone that he does not want me to see, that he was like freaking out. Like.
So what was on the phone? Yeah, going into a headstand like that one. What was her name? Who was it that did the headstand? Was that Jodi Arias? Or was that Shanna Gruber's? But as far as the phone goes, so what was going on here was Charles was texting Adam Cox. Now, Adam is another one of Lori's brothers, not to be confused with Alex. And Adam actually has a YouTube channel now, along with Lori's uncle, and they're awesome. And so Adam is he'll be testifying at this trial for Charles. And that's who Charles was texting. And what they were texting was basically, I think okay, if I recall correctly, and again, we'll hear about this at the trial. If I recall correctly, Adam had called Charles to warn him because he said the fact that Alex was coming up there was weird. Like basically some of the family members are just completely in denial about Lori, but others were like Adam is one of the ones who was like, something's not right. This is not good. She's up to something. Someone's going to get hurt. And as soon as he learned that Alex was heading over there to Arizona, where all this happened, he called Charles to like warn him. And so the text messages that he didn't want her to see are text messages with Adam that were like, about her and them like basically plotting to maybe kill him, basically. Yeah, I'm trying to recall. It might have been Jodi Arias that did the headstand. Shanna Gruber's, I feel like maybe did, but Shanna was like singing a lot, like Amazing Grace in her interrogation.
Like, to the point where I thought he would hit me in the back of the head to get the phone.
Okay. So you thought, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you thought it was possible that he was going to hurt you.
Absolutely, he was going to hurt me and Tylee.
Okay.
Not JJ. He would never hurt JJ.
Okay.
And he hurt my brother. Like he was going like ballistic about. It was bad.
Okay. I'm gonna go talk to her real quick.
Really?
And then if obviously, we'll be here for a little bit, hopefully not too much longer. But if you think of anything or there's anything that kind of pops in your head or something else that we didn't cover, obviously. So I'm gonna go talk to her for just a little bit, and then I'll kind of come back and check with you. And then we'll kind of go from there. So I know my partner's talking to your brother over in one of the other interview rooms. So we're going to just try to get, as much done as we can and go from there. Okay. And then is there anybody that you need to call or anything, or you want to wait a little bit?
I don't know what I would say.
And wait a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know what I would say.
And if you want to, you can think about it. So we do have victim services that work
Oh my God, this is just so funny again, like with Wendy, right?
within the police department. They're right over here. They're not cops, they're civilians. And they do, Jessica, who was out there with the fire department, so they're kind of our crisis response. They come right away. So our victim services that work in the department are kind of more long-term type support systems. So they're just a really good resource because they do a lot of stuff with our families and things like that, and can help with support services and questions you might have.
She's been through so much.
So it might be a good
I
idea.
just can't stand for her to have to go through all this.
Yeah, it might be a good idea maybe before I take you guys back today that I get one of them to come in and maybe sit and talk with you guys and see. And it's not something there's a bunch of stuff they can, offer, but it's good to have a contact and like a name and a face and a phone number.
That'd be good.
That way maybe a couple days from now, a week from now, or if there's something going on or you think you need help with something, it may not be something that's necessarily up like me and my partner's alley, but it very much may be up theirs. So I'd like for you to meet one of them before we leave. That way, hopefully if there's something that they can help you and your daughter with, they can, or even JJ or whatever else.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I hadn't even thought about him.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he's used to him not being there, but he wouldn't understand even if you told him.
Right.
Like, that somebody passed away, he doesn't understand what
that means. Well, I mean, it's hard at 7 to understand that anyways.
Right, that's true, but with him, he just doesn't, which is probably better because he doesn't comprehend things, but I don't know, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah. So let me go find one of them, and then we'll make sure that you guys get to meet with them before you leave, because that might be something very helpful for you guys. And I'm going to go speak with your daughter for just a little bit, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay? And if you need anything, let me know, okay? Okay.
Just gonna sit here. Wow, really not even moving. Wow. We're gonna come back in.
I like your daughter a lot.
She's fun.
Yeah. So one of the victim services, Denise, is here. So I kind of told her just a little bit of what happened.
Okay.
So if you're good with it, I'm going to have her come over and I'm going to introduce her to you guys so you guys can talk for a little bit, which kind of works well too because I need to run over to where my partner's at and just talk to him a little bit. That way you guys will have a little bit, hopefully, extra support if you need it. So I'm going to go grab Denise real fast and then introduce you guys.
Okay.
Okay?
Here.
So this is Denise.
Hi. Hi, sorry. That's funny. That's funny also.
So she's gonna take you over to like a conference room so you guys can sit and talk and stuff. And then you can just, once you guys talk and kind of, you can decide if you're comfortable with Tylee coming in or whatever.
Okay, sure.
And then we'll
I just don't want her to be left alone in the
Yeah.
by herself.
Yeah.
She's freaking out.
So we keep kind of popping in and checking on her and
I
stuff.
just don't
So
want to be alone too long.
Yeah.
We'll be as
Probably
long
wants to make sure she's sticking to the story too.
as long as you want, okay? I'm here to try to, you got lots of choices when you talk, so we'll just get started and then we'll, you know, then we'll go from there. That sound okay? All right, thanks. They handed me this, but that was just out of his rental car.
And there they go. There they go, guys. So yeah, there you have it. There you have it. Pause on this lady. We'll pause it and we'll put it over here. So so Kane just got here. So that's pretty much all we have for this one. If you guys are game, we can totally segue into something else if you guys want. Like I said, I've got a bazillion live streams set up already. They're just on private until I decide that until we know if we're going live with it or not. So if anybody wants to segue into something else, I agree. Yeah, she's so nonchalant about the entire thing. It's crazy. Yep, totally crazy. Totally crazy. So if anyone is down with some Murdoch, we can do that. I don't think I have the next Karen Reed set. Wait, no, maybe I do have the next Karen Reed one set up. No, I do. I do have the next Karen Reed. So if anyone wants, we could segue into the last batch of Karen Reed docs that we have there, or we could segue into some Murdoch, or we could call it a night. Y'all let me know what you guys want to do. And in the meantime, we can just enjoy some Wendy.
Yesterday I was taking a walk around 5. I met a new friend. We went to Tallahassee food trucks.
Wow.
Last night, hung out with her for hours.
Yeah.
Wendy made another new friend. Are you fucking kidding me? Why?
She also Googled. There was a shooting, do you know? Both she and John.
Stop.
Why would they
I'm going to die.
Why would that just come
I'm
up?
going. Sorry. Heather says, I met a new friend on a walk. Bitch, how old are you? Rochelle's here until sleeping pill kicks in. Okay. Roger that. Roger that. Anyone else have any thoughts wanting to weigh in? P Fox says it doesn't matter. Okay. Let me do this real quick. We're going to do it this way. Let's do this. Let's do this. We're going to do it this way. Give me just a second to set this up so it'll redirect you guys automatically. You'll be transported through the magic of technology. Okay. Just one more second. Here we go. Cool. Coolio. Okay. Okay. Should be good to go there. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do, Coolio. Okay. What we're going to do is we are going to roll the outro and you guys should be redirected into the next stream. So this is a 1, 2, hold on. 1, 2, 3, my 5th live stream of the day. Woo! Record, breaking some records. We're using Lori. Yes, 100% using Lori's portal. Yep. Yes, the closet portal for her and Chad's little sexy time. Okay, so love you guys. I'll roll the outro. Hopefully all of you guys will be transferred over through the portal and the magic, and I'll see you guys here in just a second.